Applicants, but the first few cases are here, so I think we can get started. So let me read the welcome statement and we can get started. Oh, actually, Chris, you read the welcome statement for this one.
Great. Okay, good evening, everyone. We're meeting tonight under extraordinary circumstances. Due to state and local emergency orders requiring social distancing, earlier at our pre-hearing meeting, we amended the Rochester Preservation Board bylaws to allow us to conduct this hearing as authorized by the governor's and mayor's emergency orders, and to waive other requirements in order to proceed with this online hearing. These waivers permit us to hold this hearing by teleconference with no in-person attendance, allow applicant presentations by teleconference, and require all public comments, both in favor of and opposed to the application, to be submitted in writing by email or by hard copy document mailed to the zoning office or deposited in the secure Dropbox located in the link entrance of City Hall. All written public comments were all required to be submitted by 5 p.m. yesterday. Although this hearing has been altered for some of our normal procedures, many things remain the same. All the normal notifications for this hearing, including mailed notice, publication, and the posting of notice, were followed. All the normal timeframes for applicant presentations and comments in favor of and opposed to the application remain the same. And most importantly, this board will hear, review, and make decisions about all the applications with the same diligence and using the same standards as required by the zoning code. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone that when a case is called, the applicant will be allowed 15 minutes to present. The applications are posted on the city website and available for the public to review. All applicants were advised to ensure that their applications were complete and included all information that they intend to present at this hearing tonight. As the application is presented, staff will as reasonably possible, show the pages of the application the applicant is addressing. Following our normal procedure, the board members may ask the applicant questions. If during the hearing, the board determines that the substantial new evidence has been submitted by the applicant during the presentation or is given in response to questions by the board, the case will be adjourned to the next now announced hearing date to allow the public to review the new evidence and to submit additional comments. After the applicant's presentation is completed, staff will read into the record on any comments received after the comment deadline that are not already posted on the city website. After all the comments have been read, the applicant will have 5 minutes to offer any testimony in rebuttal. The board will commence deliberations and voting after the public hearing of each agenda item, with the exception of any applications that are being adjourned. Please also note that if your case is approved today, a written decision will be mailed to you within 15 business days. The decision will inform you of the next steps to complete the approval process. Before we open the first case, please note that we are all volunteers. I'd like each of the board members to confirm their presence for purposes of establishing a quorum for this hearing and to introduce themselves and mention their area of expertise. And this is in alphabetical order. First would be Ed Kane.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Kane. I'm a resident of the East Avenue Preservation District.
Thank you, Ed. Next, alphabetically, is me. I'm Christopher Coretta. I'll be chairing this evening's meeting. I'm a real estate professional, and I live in the historic Grove Place Preservation District. Jim Deviney. Jim, you might have to unmute yourself.
I always get that backwards. I don't know why I do that. Okay, I'm Jim Deviney. I'm the Cornhill historian. I live in an antique house in the Cornhill neighborhood.
Thank you, Jim. Jason Dobbs.
My name is Jason Dobbs. I'm an architect here in the city. I live in the Mount Hope Avenue Preservation District.
Thank you, sir. Gerald Gamm.
Hi, everybody. You already heard my name. I live in the East Avenue Preservation District, and I'm a professor of political science and history at the U of R.
Thank you, Gerald. Dave Matthews.
I'm an architect in the city, and I live in the Highland Park neighborhood.
Thank you, Dave. And last but certainly not least, Kirsten Solberg.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Solberg. I'm an architect and I live in the Browncroft neighborhood in the city.
Thank you.
And I am Chris Snyder. I am the staff to the Rochester Preservation Board, and then I'm going to go Tom and then Anna to introduce themselves.
Hello, this is Tom Worth. I'm with the City Law Department.
Hi, my name is Anna Keller. I'm in with the zoning office and I am here as support on the back end of things this evening.
Great. Thank you very much, members and staff. I guess staff will introduce items on the agenda.
Yes, thanks, Chris. So the first thing I want to say is that for both staff, board members, and the general public and applicants, that the past 2 hearings that we had digitally, the public was not allowed, or it wasn't permitted, it wasn't really possible for them to speak in hearing. We've changed things for this hearing, and we did send out in the postcards that we sent to neighborhood groups and posted a link online prior to the hearing for folks to sign up to speak in hearing if they were interested to call in. So we will be testing that out tonight. It looks like we may have 1 person that is interested in doing that and has signed up. The deadline for that was yesterday at 5 p.m. I also want to just mention real quick before we get started, Karsten, you're going to be recusing yourself for the first 5 cases, correct?
Yes.
Because you were not present for those cases. Those first 5 cases are return cases from held hearings, and the cases were left open, but you didn't have the benefit of hearing that, so you're just going to be recusing yourself and will not speak for cases 1 through 5.
Okay.
And now I'll call the first case. Case 1, A-063-19-20 for a certificate of appropriateness. This is a return case from the June 3rd, 2020 hearing. It is a local landmark and the purpose of this case is to install approximately 8 linear feet of 4-foot tall steel ornamental fencing and a gate at the west entry of this site along Campus Drive. All board members present and speaking or deliberating for this case did visit the site.
Just before we get into your presentation, Mr. Ingrassia, I just have to swear you in. Do you, Mr. Ingrassia, solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And if you wanted to give us your presentation, that'd be great.
Sorry, we didn't hear what you said.
Mr. Grassi, you can give us your presentation if you'd like right now, please.
Randy, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Yep. Could you give them an overview of exactly what you're installing?
And Randy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I also would have to swear you in as well.
Okay.
Randy, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Randy?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yep, I just heard you say, yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. So what we're going to be doing is installing a similar fence to the one that that runs along, I believe it's Highland Drive there. We're going to be installing a gate with a panic bar device on it in between the 2 pillars, and then just 1 single panel of fence coming off of the pillar on the, I guess it would be the left side standing from the street, near the granite curb right there.
Okay. Anything else, Randy, you wanted to add to that?
Just that the fence is going to be, match the other one is almost identically. It's going to be made out of raw steel and powder coated black to match. But everything in terms of the dimensions, The pickets, the rails, everything is going to match identically. The panic bar will have a lever action on the inside. In case people, I guess it's self-explanatory, but like a panic device so they could get out in case of an emergency. And then it'll have a lever on the outside with a key lock, like a lever type handle on the outside.
Okay, great. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. Now I'll open it up to questions to the board, and we'll do that alphabetically as well. We'll start with Ed Kane. Ed, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I'm not sure if this is applicable or not, but when I visited the site a couple weeks ago, there was a for sale sign. And then the next time I went past, the for sale sign was gone. Does that have anything to do with your proposal?
Absolutely not, and it's been removed.
Okay.
But it was not for, it wasn't a for sale, it was for lease.
Oh,
Because we are leasing space within the Strong Hall building. So that was a for lease sign.
okay. No other questions.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Next, I would be alphabetically. I really don't have any questions. It looks like a pretty straightforward, nice presentation. Thank you. Jim Deviney, do you have any questions? And Jim, don't forget to unmute yourself.
All right, there I got it. Yeah, I do have a question because there wasn't anything in the presentation I noticed about the panic bar. And I'm curious why it needs to be a panic bar, because it seems like it's just closing the sidewalk, but the driveway is still open. So I'm trying to figure out why it needs to have a panic bar on it.
It's not, it's not required. We just thought that would be something that would work functionally, but we're not 100% need to have a panic bar. We just thought that was the most appropriate use in that area.
Okay, I guess I have no other questions.
Thanks, Jim. Jason Dobbs, any questions?
Yeah. Hey, Chris or whoever controlling the slides, could you go to page 21? All right, I'm looking at the selected the deluxe exit bar kit. It says mounting plate 24 inches tall. Now, when we go back to 11, does that mean that whole bar that goes across is 24 inches tall? Here, it looks like it's 8 inches tall. 24 would be half of that gate.
They make them in either 16 inches or 24. So you could use either or.
Okay. That was my only question.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, Dan, do you have any questions? Gerald, can you hear me? Do you have any questions?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
No problem.
I had unmuted and didn't know that was my turn. So I do have questions. I spent more time at the site and I don't fully understand the proposal. So my understanding of the proposal is that there is a proposal for a pedestrian gate on the sidewalk, on the walkway into the complex. And then where there is the big brick wall, that would be extended with a new piece of fencing, and that's where we're talking about the panic bar. So is that right? There are two things, a pedestrian gate and then an extension of the brick wall. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a resident, right? A resident or user access off the public sidewalk. And then we are on the pilaster to the north, we're extending the fence to the north.
Right. So I don't know what's east, but you're extending, you have a brick wall, and the idea is to build a fence that extends the brick wall sort of to where the trees are. So as we face it from Goodman Street, it's to the left of the brick wall. And I guess I'm looking at
Correct.
page 6 if we want something to look at.
Which page, I'm sorry?
Page 6. So page 6. So my understanding is that where the hand is right now, that there would be an extension built to the brick wall that would basically fill that gap where there's grass to the woods. And then there would be a pedestrian gate on the walkway. So my first question is,
Correct.
I understand that correctly, right? Okay, so
I'm sorry?
I do understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so I then have a functional question and a design question, because to some extent we're responsible for both in the Preservation Board. A functional question I'll take up first. What is the logic to the pedestrian gate? I don't know that I've ever seen a pedestrian gate next to a driveway, a street that doesn't itself have a gate. So what is the logic to blocking pedestrian traffic if pedestrians can just walk around on the street?
No, it is to create an environment so that people do not just walk onto the site that are not authorized.
But what prevents them from just walking up the driveway, which frankly is the way that I've always walked up to that site?
Well, hopefully they don't. There are signs that say it's private property and no trespassing, so hopefully they won't.
But again, following up on this functional question, if the plan is to limit access to the site, wouldn't it make sense to propose a pedestrian gate side by side with a gate across the roadway? Because I actually, at least in my experience, many pedestrians will just walk up the roadway anyways. So why propose one without the other?
Because we're hoping that this will solve the issue that we're having right now, along with our signage, without actually placing a gate across the entrance.
Okay. So I appreciate the answer. So that was my functional question. My design question is, as I look at the brick wall and the brick posts or plasters, and then imagine that being extended with the iron, the steel fence that's being proposed, I worry that the metal fencing will look like an odd addition to this existing brick wall. And my concern is that it's not an appropriate addition, that there's no other metal there, that side of the driveway is all brick. As I look on the other side of the driveway, it's all brick, that we need to walk a fair distance to see the metal that we're modeling on. And I would think if the goal there is to limit access to that lawn, that the two appropriate ways to do it, that the most appropriate way to do it would be with landscaping, with bushes, because you already have this brick structure there. And if you don't want people to walk around the brick structure, I would just put bushes there and come up with a planting plan. And if you wanted something harder than bushes, I would propose extending the brick wall that's already there, since that whole area is brick and there's not otherwise metal there. Did you give thought to either extending it with brick or putting bushes in instead?
No, we have not. We just thought it was more appropriate based on how the remainder of the site is being enclosed, and that's being enclosed with a gate. A fencing.
Because if you look at the brick wall to the south of the driveway, it connects with the fence, the existing fence.
Okay, but you'll agree that at least from the view that we have, which is the view that, so I understand. I mean, we're all in agreement that if you walk down toward South Goodman Street, you will eventually come to a metal fence. But at this portion of the entrance, that whole entrance is brick. So that was my thought, that the appropriate material, if you wanted to extend this portion of the entrance, would be to use brick, or perhaps even more appropriate would be to put bushes there. So I guess you've answered my question. My question is, had you given thought to that? And it sounds like you hadn't really considered bushes. Is there any particular reason not to use bushes?
No, again, we were, the thought was to have that continued fence look that you see all along that entire, I don't know, probably 500 feet of stretch that is where the brick parts are absent, there's fence.
Okay. Okay, anyways, thank you. Your presentation is very clear, and I appreciate you answering my questions.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, Gerard. Next, Dave Matthews, do you have any questions?
On the area of the panic bar where we see the blank black panel, were you looking to do any signage, or would that just be completely opaque?
I'm sorry, are you saying on the pedestrian gate?
On the pedestrian gate, Chris, if you went to that picture, I think 7 or 8. So right there where it says panic bar on the inside and the lettering and everything, is there any signage proposed on that, or would it just be a blank panel?
No, there will be signage on there.
Okay.
The same type of signage that will inform them it's residents and guests only.
So there will be some lettering on that panel?
Correct.
Okay. But we don't see that in this proposal, is that correct?
Yeah, and that because we are part of a PED and we have to have an overall signage approval for that, and we're putting that package together, and we're going to present that to the planning board for overall signage.
Okay. All right. That was my question. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. If there are no other questions from board members, I believe staff will read testimony statements if we have any.
Thank you, Chris. Let me scan to additional public comments here. So let me read the public testimony statement. This is the public testimony for case A-063-19-20 for 1118 and 1110 South Goodman Street, aka 1100 South Goodman Street, for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation Board. All written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion in the public record. So we received one comment from a member of the public. I'm going to read that now. This is from Bill Skillern at 7 Summit Drive. Bill writes, I am a neighbor of the former Divinity School campus and am writing to express concerns about the proposed addition of fencing and a gate at the South Goodman entrance to the property. I believe the 4-foot tall fencing will appear too tall to integrate well with the design of the adjacent solid entrance structures, while not matching the 5-foot tall fencing to the south along Goodman, which would definitely be too small. The small section of short fence will also look out of place in front of the adjacent slope, unlike any other decorative fencing installation on the campus. The proposed gate would force all pedestrian traffic onto Campus Drive from behind the immediately adjacent pillars, where they may become visible to vehicles only when they enter into the roadway. As this intersection already has inadequate sight lines, drivers may be too focused on potential vehicular traffic to be ready to brake for pedestrians. I feel that these elements, which are wanted to deter pedestrian traffic according to the applicant's testimony last month, are not consistent with the historic maps, the stated desire of the Preservation Board to keep the campus pedestrian friendly, or the developer's previously stated openness to the 2034 plans proposed trail through the site and this entrance. Thanks for hearing my concerns. Bill Skillern, 7 Summit Drive. That was the only public comment received.
Mr. Cross or Randy, did you want to say anything at all regarding that statement?
No, I have nothing to say.
No, I did hear what you had to say, yes.
Okay, great.
So I will now read the deliberation statement. and the board is going to go into deliberations. This is the deliberation statement for A-063-19-20, 1118 and 1110 South Goodman Street, aka 1100 South Goodman Street, for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation Board. During deliberations, board members review cases and take action by voting. There is no participation by applicants or the public.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Snyder. With that, we'll do a round robin of the board members for comments. We'll do that alphabetically as well. We'll start with, we'll start with Ed Kane. Any comments? What are your thoughts, Ed?
I'm fine with the proposal. I have no additional comments.
Okay. I'm next. I do have a question about the panic bar, if it's really necessary. That's my only concern. I think everything else looks fine. I could go either way with it, but I'd like to hear from the architects and designers too. Jim Deviney?
Yeah, I guess I'm still kind of thinking of the fact that there was apparently a proposed trail that was going to go through that particular site that would be open to the public. And, you know, it just, something's not coming together about this proposal, because at first there's trying to discourage pedestrian traffic by putting up that sign. And even though the roadway is still open, I mean, people clearly are still going to go in. And if there's a general feeling among the public that that's fair territory and can be visited, there's kind of a mixed message going here. And I can't quite figure out exactly how I'm supposed to feel about that, because if this was proposed to be an open site that people could visit and wander through there at will, then there's kind of a mixed sort of an attempt at inhibiting that openness. And so that confuses me.
I kind of interpret it as if they were really just trying to get everyone to go on one path. But that was my interpretation. Any other thoughts, Jim?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Jason Dobbs.
Okay. Well, since this is private property, I believe he can put whatever gate he wants on there. He doesn't have to let anyone go up that site. I think the design of the fence is appropriate to the site. It's well designed. It matches the other fences on the site with material and design and little finishes and whatnot. Since this is only meant to discourage pedestrian traffic and not absolutely stop it, I don't see the need for the panic hardware, which is more of a security function rather than needed to keep the gate closed. With the panel going across the 16 inches, that's actually bigger than what is shown on our drawing. When you scale it out, the bar on the drawing is just a little bit less than 12 inches. So it would actually be it would actually read wider than the drawing and be very noticeable and take away from the design of the fence. It would not, a big panic bar and that big piece of metal that discourages people from reaching their hand through is not historically appropriate. It could be done with a little latch that keeps the gate closed, because this is just meant to discourage. It's not meant for security to keep people out, because you can just walk up the road. So we don't need the gigantic panic hardware on it. So I'm fine with the gate with a simple latch and the fence next to the brick, just like on the other side. And that's about it.
Thanks, Jason. Gerald, what are your thoughts?
So I don't think, as I suggested with my questions, I don't think that this is appropriate to the site. This is a city landmark. I think we need to be especially careful about what we're approving for the site. And my concerns, as I suggested with my questions, are twofold. Number one, the pedestrian gate does not make sense to me. What the pedestrian gate is going to do, as this neighbor said in their letter to us, is simply push pedestrian traffic into the roadway. So it's not going to impede access to the site. It's not going to impede access to the site, and it's going to make it more dangerous for people to walk in and out of the site, because I think people will avoid the gate and simply walk into the road if they want to visit the site. And so I would not support a pedestrian gate there unless there were a plan also to gate the roadway and to make clear how pedestrians who do have a right to access the site could open and close the gate. So I would not support a pedestrian gate in the absence of a gate across the roadway, because we're just pushing people into the road. If Chris, if you can put up page 10. Thank you. No. Different proposal, Chris.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yes, page 10, thank you. So number one, I don't think the pedestrian gate is appropriate. I don't understand how it makes sense for the site if it's just going to push people into the road. And number two, if we look at the upper photo on page 10, that is a reasonable representation. I mean, it's done by hand, but frankly, lots of us have submitted drawings by hand before, so that I don't have any issue with, but that's a reasonable representation of what the extension to the brick wall is going to look like. And it looks like an add-on. It looks like something that was added after the fact, simply to extend a brick wall without any effort to use the original materials. And I know we can walk around and we can find metal fencing a few dozen feet away that will match this, but everything entering the site is brick. All the elements are brick, with the possible exception of the gates. And you don't have brick gates, but the walls are brick. There aren't fences, they're walls. And I initially thought that the best way to extend this was with another brick post and then another section of brick wall to match what's there. And then came around to thinking that architecturally what's there is exactly right. And if the goal is to block access, to put bushes there. But I would strongly oppose this proposed extension. I don't think it's appropriate architecturally for what's already there.
So just so I'm clear, you wouldn't propose a gate. You would or would not propose an additional brick wall. I was confused.
Oh, so number one, I do not support a pedestrian gate unless there's also a plan for a gate across the roadway, because all we're doing is putting people into the road.
Got that.
Number two, I do not support adding a piece of metal fencing to the existing brick wall. I think that's inappropriate. I would reluctantly support an alternate plan to extend the brick wall with another post. I would more enthusiastically support a plan to leave things just as they are and plant a bunch of bushes and give us a planting plan for the area.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, anything else?
No, I mean, I very much appreciate what is being done with the site and the investment for the site and the plans for the site. I also appreciate the efforts that are being made to limit access to the site. I'm supportive of that. I just think that there are better ways to do it. I don't think we limit access on a pedestrian sidewalk when we're not limiting access on a roadway, because pedestrians will figure that out. And I think if there's a piece of grass where you don't want people to walk through, there are better ways to treat that piece of grass than what is proposed today. So I would hold the case and ask the applicant to come forward with a proposal that's more consistent with the existing architecture.
The short answer is you prefer bushes.
But what, Chris?
The short answer, the Reader's Digest condensed version, is you'd prefer bushes as opposed to anything else.
My first preference would be a planting plan with bushes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Dave Matthews, what are your thoughts?
So, Chris Snyder, as far as that 2030 plan, is there anything on record that has a pedestrian way through the site that's been approved, or is that?
David, I'll answer that, because been at all the planning council or planning commission meetings on this. There's no commitment for the developer to commit to any public access to the site. What they did say is that if there were a public proposal to run a pathway that would extend not just on this site, but in both directions elsewhere, that at that time they would consider it, but only after the public had come up with an actual plan rather than a dotted line on a map. And in the meantime, they just said that the way the buildings are laid out, there would not be nothing that would preclude there being one, but they did not commit to public access.
Okay. And this is private property, right? So there's no access to
Yes.
the public that is a legal commitment by them at this point.
Right. It's private property.
Okay. So I guess I agree with Jason on the need for a panic bar. I mean, that would be only necessary if it was locked and you were in a locked situation and had to push through it. So I don't see the need for that at all. The blank panel across the gate might make sense with a larger signage package where you have some wayfinding through that gate or telling people, you know, what their potential access would be. Without that signage package, I think the blank panel doesn't make any sense. And just the gate with the simple hardware like Jason proposed does make more sense. So I think if the applicant wanted to look at the gate with the signage package, I'd certainly be open for it. Otherwise, kind of the simple gate would make more sense. And I don't have a problem with the other fence. It fits in with the larger fence. I kind of wish there were a couple more panels. It wasn't a single panel attached to the end of the brick, but obviously there's slight constraints with the slope of the hill and everything. So I guess I don't have any problems with it other than not having a panic bar and making the gate a lot more simplified without a panic bar.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? I guess what we should probably do is kind of take the temperature. If I could start with Ed again. Ed, you know, what are your thoughts on the fence extension, if you will? Do you feel that it's appropriate? Not the gate, but the other fence.
Yeah, no, I like the fence extension.
Okay. I don't have an issue with it. If we're going alphabetically, I don't have an issue with it. I do understand Gerald's point, but I am okay with it because it is in other areas, and I think it still is appropriate. But I do agree with Jason and Dave on the panic bar. Jim, how do you feel about the additional fence?
I have no problem with the proposed fence. I agree with the issue of the panic bar on the gate, but that's where I stand.
Okay. Jason, I think we know where you stand. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm okay with it as proposed with the removal of the panic hardware.
And Mr. Matthews, Gerald, not to go over you, but I think we know where you stand.
Yeah, I'm guessing I wasn't too ambivalent. I can also see where the vote's going, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. And Mr. Matthews, I think we know where you stand too.
Yeah, just to make sure that the blank panel wouldn't be there, it would just be an open gate with a simplified latch.
Okay. Can I get a motion, either Dave or Jason, because you had a pretty good handle on all of the details I'm taking notes on. Jay, go ahead, please.
Yeah. I just want to. Okay, for case number A063-19-20, I would like to make the motion that we approve the case as presented with the following modifications. we are going to remove the panic bar hardware and the 16 to 24 inch tall mounting plate and replace it with a simple latch mechanism.
I second.
Okay, Jason Dobbs made a motion. It was seconded by Jim Deviney. I
Can I-
will go.
Can I add on to that? That the gate matched the other existing fence configuration with the double horizontal bar at the top and single horizontal bar at the bottom.
Jason, did you want to add that to your motion?
Yeah, sure, we can. That's the way it's designed, though. Am I missing something?
Or you just wanted, I think David just wanted clarity.
Just to clarify that.
Okay. Do I have to say that, or can you add that in, Chris?
Still second.
Okay.
That's
so
fine. I have it down.
Okay, thank you. And then Jim Deviney seconded it. So what I will do is go down alphabetically, and I'll ask each of you yay, and you please just say yay or nay, and I'll just repeat it. Ed Kane,
Yay.
Christopher Coretta, yay. Next, Jim Deviney,
Yay.
Jason Dobbs,
Yay.
Gerald Gamm,
Nay.
and Dave Matthews.
Yay.
So we had, of the 6 members, there were 5 yays and 1 nay. Okay, I think that's it. Is that correct, Mr. Snyder?
Yep.
All right, very good. Thank you very much for the presentation, Mr. Ingracia and Randy. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next case, case 2. This is a return case from the June 3rd, 2020 hearing, file A-064-19-20 for a certificate of appropriateness. Applicants are Jonathan Wunderlich, the property owner, and Mara Fernandez. The address is 149 South Fitzhugh Street. It is a local landmark, and it is to install a line of trees along the north and south boundaries of this property and to paint ornamental features on this landmark, on this local landmark with a different color paint than the existing.
All right.
Good evening, everybody.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Chris, if you just want to state if everyone visited the site, please.
Oh, thank you for reminding me on that. Yes, all board members who are deliberating on this case have visited the site.
Great, thank you very much. And Jonathan and Mara, thank you for attending. I just needed to swear you in. Sorry. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do.
Thank you very much. When we're ready for your presentation.
And so do we have to present all the 15 minutes?
No, you have up to 15 minutes to present.
Okay.
Okay, so to refresh everyone's memory, what we're trying to do is we want to plant some privacy bushes of the arborvitae type on the north and southern edges of our properties. If you have all visited the site, as you can, you have on the northern side of the property more than anything, we do have some privacy concerns in terms of also the upkeep and maintenance of our next door maintenance building itself, the maintenance of it. You have broken windows. You can even see on the city site that they do have 50 outstanding violations that they are not taking care of. And then facing our property, we have the windows that are broken, the ones that are boarded up. And so what we're trying to do is, because we're trying to preserve the state of the house, the way that our garden is looking, we have been working on it a lot since we acquired the property. We're trying to preserve it clean and overall looking nicely. So, you know, we've had the intention of creating a small type of separation between both properties, and also so that it helps us with the maintenance, because we do have some incidents. We've had some incidents where we have garbage being thrown out over the property line to our side, and so we're sort of constantly having to pick up trash. And it's one of the things that if we have those bushes there, that could also help us not have to pick up trash every other day and maybe do so once a week. And going to the south side of the property, as you can see, we do have a lesser amount of the arborvitae trees that we want to plant, because we want to also ensure that our next door neighbors on the south part of the house who are elderly, that they feel comfortable with walking around with their privacy more so than anything. And that's why we have proposed to set those bushes offset back from the sidewalk, so that we are able to use that area of our garden. We're hoping to have a little sitting space there, but we also want to ensure that they are comfortable with it. And we have talked with the neighbors on both sides, really. Everyone is extremely nice. Our south side neighbors are more than happy to have those there. They have hospices, so that's fine. And on the building side, everyone has been extremely nice, extremely kind, but it's the property management who are the ones that are just simply not caring for the space. I don't know if there's more that you want to
Yeah,
add.
I know. I just, would love to throw in there and appreciate the opportunity to present with you guys tonight. Just, Mara and I are city people for what it's worth. We're stewards. We've both been overseas and have jobs that have taken us all over the world. I'm born and raised in the city, went to Monroe High School, and it's very important for me to come home and to be a steward of this property, to be extremely active. I hope to help out with development with the board for Cornhill. Mara's already joined it, part of a few of the groups here locally. We've made friends with our neighbors, and one of the neighbors that I like the most lives next door. And I help him every week when he comes back from the food bank with his food, and I've been invited into his home. It's something for me that it's of course, I think it's important to be honest and direct with all of you guys. Of course, we're concerned about that building, and I don't know if any of you guys are aware of that building, aware of the violations, or aware of some of the things, that these people that I consider my community and my neighbors are living in. Of course, they don't, they don't have to live there. I understand that. But we just looked at this situation from day one. We're, of course, landscaping a lot right now as well. So if you guys have come by, you'll see that, we've been taking care of the house in a lot of different ways and fixing it up. And I think we decided that the best way to deal with this is, unless we can deal with the owner of this property, who is completely MIA, non-responsive, and there's no way we can get through to him. Any communication we've had about those violations is that there's really nothing that can be done. So it doesn't seem like there's any governing body that has teeth to try to help out what is code violations left and right. As I said, I've been invited into 2 of those homes. So, I understand that's the reality over there. Not really my business to take that on, to fight it. I'm a concerned citizen and a more concerned neighbor. But we looked at, the idea of a fence. We looked at the idea of a wall. We looked at all those things, and we just decided, a really reasonable compromise would be put some beauty there. I'm an OCD person, so I'm going to go pick up the garbage anyway. And I'm probably going to pick up the garbage that straddles the property line regardless. But in a way, it's just, we had a few experiences that, were last month that we discussed, where just, wide open windows and, city living, where we just feel like it'll enhance everybody's life to have a little privacy. Because right now there's absolutely nothing. I mow the lawn every week. I take care of their property side of things. I hope that that's not going to get me in trouble, but nobody's complained. But I keep it looking nice, on the property line that we have. And I'm happy to do that. And then, that's the story with the building. On that side, the other side, with Bruce and his wife, they're amazing. We talk to him every other day. He's out there working. I know they have no opposition to it. And it's just something really more than anything to add a little equilibrium to the aesthetic of it. Plus, we obviously have these rental units on the side, one of which where we live. So, you know, that's a way to offer a little separation with the comings and goings of two rental units that are on that side, and give Bruce and his wife a little respite as well, if anybody happens to be hanging out there in the hot weather or whatever. So,
and also, like we had stated before, we are fully willing to take the commitment to keep the arborvitae in check. I know that there were some concerns before in terms of, do we forget about the trees and just let them grow to whatever number of feet? But no, we will trim them. We will ensure that they do not go above 3 feet diameter, and that we do keep them in height. And as you mentioned even last time, you can see it in the example of 86 Adams Street, page 7, where they do have arborvitae that has been kept in check. They do trim it. So it is a very manageable kind of tree that resonates with all the properties throughout Cornhill.
and for what it's worth, we would not be able to use our driveway without damaging a vehicle without maintaining these bushes. So, I mean, there's no way that we can, I mean, really without damaging property, there's really no way that we can let it go, for what it's worth.
And then regarding the stone on the windows, as we mentioned before, the thing with the stonework on the windows is it will have to be repointed by a mason. And when they do that, because we already went through the process of working on the foundation, we do know that they will need to be repainted because the mortar work will dirty them up more than what they are. And our intention with getting rid of the gray, it's basically also to continue to bring back the house from the low point where it was in the 50s and 60s. As I'm sure you all know, our house was pretty much abandoned at some point. It was fully painted gray, which is why we still do have some bricks that have some of that stripped paint. And the remnants of the gray is what you can today see in the windows. So the gray is not the original color of the stones. And even though we did consider the idea of stripping them, I was told by the mason that worked on our house earlier this year that it would be a bad idea, that it would probably end up damaging the stone rather than allowing us to rescue it. And we just want to be able to brighten up the space from that gray that the house has. I know that I proposed the delicate white. It is an off-white. We are completely open towards going towards more of a beige white. It doesn't have to be something that will, like that Colgate Chiclets. No, we will do a toned down color, but we do want to bring back the liveliness of the house.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
So we're going to open this up to questions, and we're going to go alphabetically. And if it's okay with staff, I think I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. Is that okay? Just to shake things up a little bit, or should I start right at the top again?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So Mr. Matthews, we'll start with you. Dave Matthews, do you have any questions for the applicants?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Gam, Gerald Gam, do you have any questions?
Yes, I just want to ask a clarifying question. So you've told us tonight, and it's my understanding that the only stone that you're proposing to paint is stone that is already painted.
Correct. The only stone that is currently painted is, let me see if I can, is if you look at the house, exactly the stone that is right above the windows. And this, correct. Chris is signaling them. So
right. I just want to clarify, you're not proposing to paint any currently unpainted stone.
No.
No. Absolutely not.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gerald. Jason Dobbs, questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Mr. Davini, any questions?
No questions.
That myself would be next. I have no questions. Thank you. And Mr. Kane. Any
You
questions?
Well, you seem to be fine stewards of your house. I commend you for that, and I have no questions.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Well, we hope so. We're young and we're early. Well, not so young, some of us, but we're rookies still.
Well, thank you. Staff, any testimony that you wanted to read into the record?
There is no public testimony that was provided, no additional or new public testimony for this case. I will still read the statement. All written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion in the public record. That's it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
So we will start deliberations now. This is the deliberation section for 149 South Fitzhugh Street, case A-064-19-20 for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Preservation Board. During deliberations, board members will review cases and take action by voting. There is no participation by applicants or the public.
Very good. So let's do a little round robin here, and I guess I'll start back at the top again. Ed Kane, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are that the proposal has my full support.
Very good. Thank you. I'm next. I would agree with Mr. Kane. I would support it the way it is proposed. And thank you very much, guys. Next would be Jim Deviney. What are your thoughts, please?
I'm ready to support this proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Deviney. Jason Dobbs, what are your thoughts?
The plantings are historically appropriate for the neighborhood. They're used on many other historic houses nearby. And the painting is a simple repair in kind of an existing paint job on the brick that will definitely improve the looks of the project. So I'm in favor of everything presented.
Very good. Gerald?
I also support the proposal. I want also to join Ed in thanking the homeowners for all the work that they're putting into the house and the property. And I agree with Jason, the plantings are historically appropriate. And given that these particular pieces of stone historically have been painted, it's appropriate to keep them painted.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Mr. Matthews, Dave Matthews, what are your thoughts?
I'm in favor of the proposal. Thank you for all your efforts and willingness to work with us as you proceed down with your renovations.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Can I get a motion from a board member, and please state your name prior to making the motion if you would. Oh, come on, everyone's so shocked.
Okay, I'll make the motion. So my name is Jeremy Gam. It's case file number A-064-19-20, 149 South Fitzhugh Street, to install a line of trees along the north and south boundaries and to paint ornamental features on this local landmark with a new paint color, that this application be approved as presented.
I'll second.
The motion has been made by Gerald Gam and seconded by Jason Dobbs. I'll go down alphabetically and ask each board member if they're in favor, please say yay. If they're not, please say nay. We'll start with Ed Kane.
Yay.
Christopher Coretta, that would be me next. I'm also a yay. Next would be Jim Deviney.
Yay.
Thank you, Jim. That's a yay. Jason Dobbs.
Yay.
Yay from Jason Dobbs. Gerald Gam.
Yay.
Yay. From Gerald Gam. Dave Matthews.
Yay.
Yay from Dave Matthews. That would be unanimous, all 6 voting for yay.
Yay.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your.
Thank you, guys. We're looking forward to bringing the 1870s back into the 2020s. We'll hopefully see some of you guys at the steps.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay, moving right along to case 3. This was another case that was held at the June 3rd, 2020 hearing. And it is a return case for a certificate of appropriateness, file A-065-19-20 for 1100 Park Avenue. The applicant is Megan McKenzie, landscape designer. And this is a property located in the East Avenue Preservation District to remove a linden tree at the rear of this property to allow for the installation of fencing, which was previously approved under the Certificate of Appropriateness A-013-19-20. All board members who are voting on this case visited the site.
Very good.
Megan?
Megan, are you there?
I am here.
Hi, Megan. I just need to swear you in. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. If you wanted to give us your presentation, that would be great.
First and foremost, welcome to the Cook's Kitchen. That's Wade, and Anne Marie is way over there. Nothing's really changed since the last time we presented, but the linden trees in the northeast corner, it's about 10 inches in diameter, and it is in the way of the fence that was approved last year in August. And we are looking for permission to remove it so we can continue on with the fence project.
Well, very good. We like short and sweet these days, especially when we have so many cases. Thank you. I think I have a pretty good understanding of it, but let's open this up to questions for the board. We'll start with Ed Kane. Any questions?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Thank you. I feel the same. It's very straightforward. I have no questions. Jim Deviney, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Jason Dobbs, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Gerald Gam, you have to have a question in there.
I have no questions at all.
Come on.
Most straightforward case I've ever seen.
All right, thank you. And Dave Matthews, do you have any questions?
I'm speechless that Gerald has no questions, but no, I have no questions.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Staff, do we have any public testimony statements?
There is no public testimony for this. I do want to just mention again that all written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion into the public record.
Very good.
So we are ready for the deliberations for this case, and it's going to be a record case, the fastest to go through, I'm sure. So I'm just going to read the deliberation statement. This is the deliberation for A-065-19-20 for a certificate of appropriateness. And that is for 1100 Park Avenue for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation Board. During deliberations, board members review cases and take action by voting. There is no participation by applicants or the public.
And just a statement for anyone that didn't participate or didn't view the last public hearing on this. Part of the reason this one's going fast, I think, is that last month there was a public hearing on this same matter. So I just raised that point for the benefit of those who weren't there last month.
Correct, and there were comments for all cases, from cases 1 through 3, I should mention, there were comments and some not deliberations, but comments that are related to the case that could be included in the final decision, in addition to comments for tonight.
Great, thank you for that. So I guess we could start, I'll start from alphabetically at the bottom. We'll start with Dave Matthews. Any comments? What are your thoughts on this case, Dave?
It's pretty straightforward. I'm in favor. It seems appropriate to the neighborhood and trying to get that piece of fence in.
Thank you. Gerald Gam, what are your thoughts on this case?
My thoughts are it is a large wooded area with a number of trees. This isn't, as best as I can tell, an intentional tree or a tree that's adding and enhancing to the landscape of the site. So removing it makes perfect sense.
Thank you. Jason Dobbs. Thoughts?
There is an abundance of mature trees on this site, so the removal of one will not create a negative effect on the overall beauty of the backyard.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Davini, Jim Davini, what are your thoughts, please?
I have no questions and I'm ready to approve the project as presented.
Very good. I would agree with my colleagues. Mr. Kane, your thoughts on this?
I agree. I'm ready to approve.
Great. If I could please get a motion, and if the board member would please state their name before their motion, would be greatly appreciated.
I'll do it. I, Jason Dobbs, would like to make the motion that for case number A065-19-20, that we approve the removal of a linden tree at the rear of the property to allow for the installation of a fence that was previously approved as presented.
I'll second that motion. Jason Dobbs made the motion. Chris Coretta seconded it. I will go through alphabetically. If you're in favor of the motion, please say yay. If you're opposed, please say nay. We'll start with Ed Kane.
Yay.
Thank you. Ed is yay. I am Christopher Coretta as yay. Jim Davini?
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, Jim Davini. Jason Dobbs?
Yay.
Jason Dobbs is a yay. Gerald Gam?
Yay.
Gerald Gam is a yay. And Dave Matthews?
Yay.
Dave Matthews is a yay. So that's unanimous as well. All 6 voted yay. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Yeah, I just have one more question. We don't have to get a permit or anything. We can just proceed forward. Correct?
They'll give us a written decision.
You will need to get a permit for this. It's a $50 fee for a zoning certificate just to close out the project. That's something we can discuss at a later date. And this goes for all the applicants tonight. The final notice of decisions, our office has 15 days to issue that due to the emergency declaration. Typically, we get them out within 10 days. So within 15 days of this hearing, you will receive that letter. At that time, you can apply for permits.
Okay, great. Yeah, make sure I got everything dotted and crossed.
Great.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have a great night and stay safe.
Thanks, Megan.
Good.
Sorry, I lost the screen there for a second. Okay, moving along to case 4, file A-052-19-20. This is another case that was held. This one was held from the March 4th, 2020 hearing, so it is a return case for a certificate of appropriateness. The applicant is James Benkowski with Ledestri Property Management and Ed Brilliante with that company as well. The address is 240 Culver Road, and it is located in the East Avenue Preservation District. The purpose of this application is to legalize the installation of 3 air conditioning units at this multifamily dwelling and to legalize 1 air conditioning unit at the rear of this property. So the applicants, they're with us?
Yes. Yep. Hey, Chris.
And quickly,
Chris, just before we start, could you do the attendance?
Yes.
Who visited the site?
Yeah.
Yep, no, I understand. So all board members who are deciding on this case tonight have visited the site.
Thank you very much. And I will swear you in. To the applicants, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. Thank you very much. And we're ready for your presentation.
Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes.
Beautiful. Excellent. So we were here a few
Could you
months
just
ago.
give us your name, please?
Sure, it's Ed Berlante. So we were here a few months ago. We held it. Everyone asked for some more information. So in our hold letter, they asked to look at 3 different proposals. So what you should have in front of you is kind of 3 versions of a revision to our original ask. So I kind of walk through each of those. I My opinion is option A is the most appropriate, and so I'll spend the most time with that, but we will touch on options B and C as well, just for full reference. So for option A, basically what we looked at was moving the 3 units that are on the front facing sides of the building. And again, there's 2 front faces to this building because it's on a corner. So moving all of those, thanks, Chris, moving basically units 1, 2, and 3 over to location A on the back of the house, tucked in, you know, by the driveway, basically, that you can't see from the street, at least not very well. That version then would take, Chris, can you go to the next page for me? We would then close that in with a corn crib fencing. We've shown 2 different options, whether a more natural style to the wood or painted to match the existing building. And then along with that, go to, Chris, next page will be plantings. What we wanted to do is where those units were when we relocate those out of those spaces, fill that in with some landscaping to basically make the house look like there wasn't a giant, you know, missing something that should have been there. So close in some landscaping at those locations. That's really twofold. 1, to make the appearance nicer, but 2, also where the line sets are penetrating through at the low side of the house, be able to cover up any of those penetrations. And I think if you go a couple more pages in, Chris, we can talk to that a little bit more fully.
So just give me the page numbers.
Oh, sorry. Go to 9. Let's go to 9C. Perfect. So I'll kind of walk you through. It's kind of 2 things. So along with the plantings, which from this elevation you can kind of see here in the proposed condition, my very technical round circles are the 2 different types of landscaping that we were proposing. Along with that, aside from relocating the units, there's obviously the issue of there's line sets running up the house. We had investigated trying to run those within the house, but the configuration of it from a structural standpoint and from burying those lines inside of a wall was not recommended by our HVAC contractor. So we had to find a way to minimize that aesthetic look to the face of the house. So what we've offered to do here, proposed to do, is to take, if you look at the one that goes over the porch, that is currently, you know, running off to the right there about midway up, relocate that tight along the current column detailing that's on the corner and sneak it across the top at the overhang to kind of hide that away from the main face of the building, then paint that to match the color of the house, the green color. Similarly, with the 2 line sets that are running down on the left-hand side at this elevation, paint those to match as well. So that's that what we do on that side. The next page, Chris, 9D, shows it from the other direction. So it shows the current unit that you can see there and the line that is there. We would again install some additional landscaping to kind of clean up the front of it and take that line set that's running vertically there, cut it over tighter to that front column and paint that one to match as well. So the next page, Chris, 9E, is basically, this is the routing plan. This would run through the basement. So these are the line sets that are there. The basement's an open ceiling, so we're not worried about being able to detect leaks or not being able to detect leaks and maintenance. So that works from a structural standpoint, from an HVAC standpoint. And so that would take care of it from that in this version of it. So really this is the only version that we looked at that gets all of the units off of the front faces of the building, you know, from the street sides. So, you know, it's the most expensive version, but it's the one that we like the best, we think is the most appropriate. However, in the meeting last time, you asked us to take a look at 2 other options, so I can briefly go through those. The next page, Chris, 10. What this would do is it would group all 3 of the units to that front southeast corner, where basically 1 would move over to go to 2 and 3. The line set, the landscaping would be similar to the other version. Yep. So we would enclose those 3 units with a landscaping detail up on that front corner. We would add a little bit of landscaping to the Culver side and do the same thing, page 13. Line set changes would be all the same. They would all be relocated the same way, relocated and painted to match. So nothing different there. The page 15 is just for reference, the piping plan. That's where they would run internal within the building if we were to go with option B. The next page 16, which is option C, is again, was asked of us to take a look at. All that's basically doing is relocating. It's leaving units 2 and 3 where they are currently. It's taking unit 1, sliding it over onto the Park Ave elevation from that front corner, and doing a little bit more of an elaborate landscaping plan to hide those, which is on the next page. Again, same thing, the line sets would all be the same, no changes to the line sets. It's just, that's the most landscaping. So option C has the most landscaping, but again, it leaves all 3 units on the front face. So those are 3 options that we think are viable. As far as what was asked of us, we would highly recommend option 1 because we think it stays within the spirit of getting those units off of the front facing elevations of the house.
Right. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you very much for working with us. We greatly appreciate it. We'll start with questions from the board, and we'll do it alphabetically. We'll go with Ed Kane. Ed, do you have any questions?
No, I think Plan A is far superior of the 3, and that's one I'll be supporting.
Okay, thank you. Next would be me. I have no questions. We'll go to Jim Deviney.
I have no questions.
Thank you, Jim. Jason Dobbs, any questions?
This is a very well laid out proposal. I have no questions.
Thank you. Gerald Gam?
Same here. Reflecting back on your original proposal to the board, this is just a sea change. This is a model proposal. I think you'll find that I'm guessing that you'll find that we all unanimously support moving the 3 air conditioners to the rear of the house, which is what you're also proposing. Couldn't be more consistent with standards for the preservation district to shield the units. Only question I have is the corn crib, I guess we're calling it, that's going to shield the air conditioners.
Yep.
It looks like you're looking at either keeping a natural color or painting / staining it to match the color of the house. My personal preference, I guess, would be for it to disappear as much as possible. So to paint it to match the color of the house. But if I'm reading correctly, that appears to be your only question to the board.
Yes, that is correct. It's really a preference of which option do you like? And if it's option A, would you prefer that to be to match or to be?
Do you have a strong preference between the 2?
I don't.
Yeah, so I'm not sure we need to mandate one. I think it would be better to paint to match the house. Overall, this is just a fantastic proposal. The landscaping, the relocation of the air conditioning units, and the lines feeding the air conditioning units on the side of the house, and the thought that was given to relocating some and painting the ones you can't relocate. It's a really good proposal.
Thank you.
So no more questions.
Thank you. Dave Matthews, any questions?
No questions, but we certainly appreciate all the effort you went into working with us to make some good proposals to bring back in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
If the board members have no further questions, we'll go to staff for any public testimony, if there is any.
There are two pieces of public testimony for this case. Let me get through to that section. Give me just 1 second. A lot of pages in this application. Okay. So I will read the public testimony statement. This is the public testimony for 240 Culver Road, case A-052-19-20, case 4 for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation Board. All written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion into the public record. We had two email-ins. The first one is from Richard Conhetti. Richard Conhetti writes, I am writing to oppose the legalization of 3 air conditioning units in the front yard of this property at 240 Culver Road. I have lived at 945 Park Avenue for the past 25 years and have appeared before the Preservation Board on several occasions regarding renovation to my home and property. I appreciated the mission of the Preservation Board in protecting the character and architectural significance of buildings and neighborhoods. In the years I have lived on Park Avenue, I've seen a steady decline in the maintenance and appearance of homes and buildings along Park Avenue, with landlords and multifamily homes responsible for much of the decline. The property at 240 Culver Road is a multifamily home, and I hope the board will not let the landlord get away with creating an eyesore on both the Culver Road and Park Avenue sides of the property and diminishing the appearance of the neighborhood. Thank you for your work. Richard Conhetti. That was sent yesterday at 11:28 a.m. The other public comment we received is from John Lembach, and his application reads, Dear board members, the applicant has submitted 3 options in this revised application. Option A moves the air conditioning condensers to the most hidden and logical placement on the property. This option would screen the machinery from neighbors with a low visual impact fence that would be painted to match the existing house colors. Option B continues to have the air conditioning condensers installed on Park Avenue front yard. This is somewhat minimized by the proposed landscaping plan, but still requires a zoning variance. Option C, this option would remove the air conditioning condensers a minimal distance from the Culver Road frontage to the Park Avenue frontage, which would essentially would not be any change at all, even if considered by the enhanced landscaping plan. Any air conditioning condensers plan should seek to minimize the visual impact to the exterior piping routing, particular on the Culver Road street frontage at this, as this is most visible for the high traffic corridor. The proposed piping changes appear to be acceptable other than that one item. I strongly recommend the Preservation Board approve option A, relocation to the northeast corner of the house with a house color matched fence screen, as the most appropriate and sensitive to the neighborhood needs and compliant with the intent and regulations of Preservation District regulations. Regards, John Lembach, 105 Meg Street. So those were the 2 comments. If the applicant wants to provide any comment back to those or speak to any points made by members of the public, they have 5 minutes to do so.
I'm good, other than everyone seems to like green, so.
I'm good also.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Staff, I'm sorry, Chris, you're going to close.
Yeah, so I'll read the deliberation statement then.
Chris muted himself.
I was muted that whole time, wasn't I?
Yes.
I'm glad someone said something. Thank you. So as I was saying to myself, this is the deliberation for 240 Culver Road, A-052-19-20. for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation Board. During deliberations, board members review cases and take action by voting. There is no participation by applicants or the public.
Thank you very much. Now the board will discuss, deliberate and or vote. So let's start with Dave Matthews. Dave, what are your thoughts?
Well, again, I appreciate all the work you put into this, Ed. Option A is obviously the preferred option. I agree with that. And I agree with the screening matching the house as a paint color.
Thanks, Dave. Gerald, what are your thoughts, please? Gerald Gam?
My thoughts are that this is a terrific proposal, that it's entirely in keeping with the standards of the Preservation District. I love that the air conditioners are being moved to the rear of the house and that they're going to be shielded, and that there's a landscape plan for the Culver Road and Park Avenue sides. And I would also advocate painting the corn crib the color of the house.
Thank you, Gerald. Jason Dobbs, your thoughts, please.
I'm in support of letter A. I think the screening is very well designed. I like the color of natural wood, but everybody else likes to see it painted, so I would support seeing it painted. And I think the landscaping is nicely designed and does a good job in hiding the pipes, and the routing is done in an appropriate way to minimize its impact on the house facade.
Thank you. Mr. Devaney, Jim Devaney, your thoughts, please.
I'm perfectly willing to go with option A, and I like the idea of painting it to match the house to the green. And so I'm ready to go forward.
Thank you. Next would be me, Christopher Coretta. I also am in favor of option A. I think it's very thoughtful. They put a lot of time, obviously, into this, and there's going to be a lot of effort, but much appreciated. And I am also in favor of painting the crib to match the house. Ed Kane?
As I said, option A, with a preference towards painting it to match the house.
Okay. Can I get a motion from someone, and please state your name prior to making the motion?
This is Ed Kane. I'll make the motion. File number A-052-19-20, 240 Culver Road, to legalize the installation of 3 air conditioning units at this multifamily dwelling with option A, and to legalize 1 air conditioning unit at the rear of the property.
And to match the house.
Well, I don't know if we need to say that.
Well, if I could say, I would clarify if most of us are in favor of it, if you don't mind.
And for the crib to match the color of the house.
Great.
I second.
A motion has been made by Ed Kane and seconded by Jim Devaney. I will now read down alphabetically. The board members, if you're in favor of it, please say yay. If you are not, please say nay. Ed Kane?
Yay.
Ed Kane is a yay. Christopher Coretta, yay. Chris Coretta is a yay. Jim Devaney?
Yay.
Jim Devaney is a yay. Jason Dobbs?
Yay.
Jason Dobbs is a yay. Gerald Gam?
Yay.
Gerald Gam is a yay. And Dave Matthews?
Yay.
Dave Matthews is a yay. That would be all 6 board members voted yay. Unanimous. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to move to case 5. This case was held from the May 6, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation Board. File number A-060-19-20, a return case for a certificate of appropriateness. The applicant is Reza Ormanesh, who is the project, project architect for 498 West Main Street in the Susan B. Anthony Preservation District. The purpose is to demolish an existing second floor addition at the rear of this property adjacent to Clark Alley and to reconstruct a larger addition for use as an artist studio and office associated with the art gallery on the first floor of this mixed-use building. All board members who are going to vote and are deliberating on this case have visited the site.
Okay. I'm sorry, Chris, you did say that we all visited the site.
Correct.
Thank you. Sorry. And for the applicant, do you, applicant's name again? I'm sorry, where are you?
Reza. Reza, are you here? Let's see if Reza is in. So I don't, it does not look like Reza
Sure,
is.
we just have to, maybe he needs to have some assistance finding the unmute button.
I'm sorry?
Reza is here. We just need, yeah, he's unmuted now.
Okay.
Reza, hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Reza Armanish. I'm the project architect for this job, for this project. And I came to the board, as Chris mentioned previously. And the board required, was asking.
Reza, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just need to swear you in, and then you can have at it. So if you don't mind, Reza, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Please go on with your presentation.
Okay, basically I came to the board about a couple of months ago and presented this project. The main and the board required that, not required, but they were asking for additional information, like perspectives, or what I did, I made a model. So it's just much easier to see the 3D massing. And also, since then, I spoke with the owner, and he painted. He's a professor. He's an art professor at the RIT, so he painted the model. Now, I don't see my screen, but I don't know if I hold the model, you can see it or not, because my screen is not visible.
So, Reza, just to butt in here for just a second, do you have your video feature on? Because we can't see you right now.
Well, I can't, where is the, okay, okay, I'll hold on. Now I see the sign.
There you go.
Now I see it. So now I'm on. Thank you. So basically what happened that the back portion, there is first floor, most of the structure is deteriorated. And then the block that is the CMU wall that is been painted on, it's been hit 2-3 times, and you can see the cracks visibly. On the west side, the bottom, which was basically an old block wall, that has also deteriorated. So basically, we're proposing to demolish the first floor, the second floor on the back where the shed is, and add a sculpture studio on the first floor and a painting studio on the second floor. So that was that's the intent. Altogether, it's about 446, let's say 450 square feet each floor. So it's minor compared to the whole building, but nevertheless, it's something that the owner would like to do. Of course, I make the model. I don't know if you can see the model if I hold it. Actually, what I need to do, the owner changed 2 days ago. He wanted the one portion, basically like we wanted a lot of light. So I'm going to peel it off like what I had it before, and then I can pull it back in. I may have to come to the board again for this, what the owner is asking. So this is basically the model that you see. I'm going to turn it. This is on Clark Street, this view. And then if I turn it, this is on the east side at the end of it. And then if I go to the other side on the west side, this is what you would see. So, and I make copies before the professor paints the model. But basically the windows got larger. He wanted more windows, but of course, 2 days ago he changed. He said he wants this portion that is the smaller, the lower roof portion. He wants it all glass, which is I believe I need to come back to the board to get approval for that because it was just 2 days ago. He said he would like to make that like a sunroom so he gets a lot of light for his painting, especially on this portion of the building. So this portion he wants something like such so. Basically, mostly glass. So
Reza, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure what you're proposing is what you presented. And I don't want there to be any confusion between what was proposed and what you're going to be proposing in the future.
Right.
So that's fine to mention, but I would just focus on what you're presenting for tonight.
But this is what all the drawing shows. Basically, I show the windows that basically the model shows exactly what the drawing shows. If I rotate it, we can see on the east side. And then if I rotate it to the west side, you can see the windows. Of course, the white portion is existing and the painted portion is the proposed addition. I'm going to take the white off so you can maybe even see it. So this is actually how, if I take everything off, that's what you would see if I rotate it. You see, that's the thing. There were some issues, I guess, confusion regarding the lower portion of the building, lower roof, that how the slope was going to be. I think the drawing was correct because the eave is at same elevation. The ridge is at the same elevation. So on the drawings, you will see a rectangular, even though it's a trapezoid. It's not actually a rectangular, but when you see it in projection, you see a rectangular as is shown on the drawings. But that's pretty much in a nutshell. And then like I said, the owner wanted to have this lower roof to be all glass, but I told him that I have to go to the board again to present that. That's pretty much, if you have any comments, questions.
Okay.
Before the board speaks, I do also want to mention that our plan reviewer, Juan Linares, who hasn't been to the virtual meetings but does provide comments for the hearings, did note that the windows on this side of the property may be close to a property line. So when there are windows that are within 5 feet or additional openings on a building within 5 feet of the property line, that's something that would need to be reviewed under building code. So just so the applicant's aware and board members are aware, and I'm sure the architects on the board are aware of that, but I just wanted to bring your attention to that issue for conversation as well.
What I plan to do in that case, what we can do, put a fire shutter on the interior side of the building, on the windows. So that would, in case if there's a fire or anything, the 2 hours, actually, well, yes, it has to be 2 hours because the walls are supposed to be, but the walls are not actually 2 hours. Even if I remove the windows, that doesn't increase the fire resistance of that wall, especially on the second floor. On the first floor, I have 8-inch block and then face brick, a veneer brick. So that will give me easily 2 hours. But once you come up to the second floor, it's all basically half lap wood that is painted siding. So that still would not resolve the issue of the 2 hours because it's combustible practically.
Okay. Are we ready for questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you for the presentation, and we're going to open it up to questions from the board. We're going to start with Dave Matthews. David, questions, please.
I guess my question you mentioned that the owner made some changes 2 days ago, but would you be willing to have us vote on this as it's presented right now? And if you want to make any adjustments that, that would be another proposal, like time-wise? Otherwise, we would have to hold this. I guess we should talk about that a little bit with everybody else, but I just want to put that out there.
Get the approval for what I have, what I presented, whatever I show on the drawings, all the documents that were submitted. I would like to get approval, and then basically that wouldn't change the foundation, that wouldn't change the face brick, that wouldn't change the half lap siding, all that. So at least that's set, so I can start working on the working drawings, and then come back to the board for what he is requesting. I wish you would have told me, like, we had 2 months, but he just 2 days before, and he just says, okay, I'd like to have this. I said, well, I can present it, but I know I have to go back to the board again.
Okay, yeah, because we would be voting only on what we've seen in the presentation that we received. So no, I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Gerald?
So my question is a follow-up on Dave's question, which is probably a question for Chris Snyder. So Chris, if we approve this tonight, can the applicant come back soon with a revised proposal, or would it be better for us simply to put on hold pending the revised proposal?
So that is up to you and the applicant. I would say that you could come back for a new proposal for a certificate of appropriateness for alterations in the future. How would you feel about that?
Yeah, the applicants already said that they want to present this and that they may come back later for another thing. So let's just go with, that's what they're requesting, and the board should just consider that.
Okay, so to the applicant, I want to say, actually, I really like this proposal. This is a vast improvement over the existing structure, and I think it's very appropriate for the site. So my only question for the applicant is to make sure that I understand correctly. You want us, you're seeking our approval for the proposal that was presented, understanding that you would need to come back with an entirely new proposal if you wanted to make changes.
Yes, sir. I would like to have the board make a decision on what I'm presenting right now, what the drawing shows. And then when the time comes that if the owner wants to really, maybe sometimes owners change their mind after a couple of weeks. So once the drawing is done and he says, no, I really like a lot of glass on that lower roof portion, then I have to come to the board and present it and get approval. And if I get approval, then he can do it. If I can't, then he won't. Simple.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. That was exactly what I wanted to know. But I just want you to know I have no other questions. I think that this is a really, really good proposal.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gerald. Jason, any questions?
I have no questions. I think all of your design ideas are pretty clearly presented here, so I'm happy to proceed.
Thank you, sir. Jim Deviney, do you have any questions?
I'm just very grateful for the model that he created because it helps me visualize this much better. I have a couple questions. Reza, you were very enthusiastic in your presentation, and sometimes I had trouble keeping up with you. But I thought I heard you say at the very beginning that now you were planning to demolish the first floor as well as the second floor. And that confused me. And the reason I asked the question is that you are also, the bottom half of it now is in brick, whereas today it's stone that's been painted green. And are you changing the stone to red brick?
Yes, no, the bottom, even on the model, it shows brick.
Yes.
And then what I did, so it's block backing with brick veneer. What I did then also, I looked around that area and I put a couple of banding, which I chose the brick color that is existing at the front. So it kind of adds a little bit to the aesthetic of it. the bottom, basically that block wall that you see on the photos, it's been hit twice and it's cracked. The beams sitting on that wall, the ends are all rusted and decayed. I don't know how it's holding up. One beam is deflecting 8 inches. 8 inch, I don't know how it's holding. I told the professor, don't go up there, put anything up there, but that's what the intent is. So basically we're trying to demolish it, put footers, new foundation, trench footer, and then come up with block and veneer brick, and then go with wood structure on top.
Okay, and I have one more question. And Chris, I don't know, can you go to page 24, please? Because I'm a little confused about the gables here on the second floor. Because if you look at that there on the left-hand side, yes, thank you, Chris. There's a gable toward the front of the building. Now you're going to replace this whole area where this whole railing is, and you're basically building all the way above that garage door, straight out to the alley. And there's a gable over that now. And so does that gable that's in this photo disappear? Because I was very confused by that.
Okay, basically, if you look at the back side of the model, you can see that the gable is here. So this is open area. So there's a wall here on this side, and then so there's the open roof that I left it open as a roof. If we go to the plans, roof plan, I don't know if I show that. You can see where right here to the bottom, there's wood railing, which actually is not really good representation of what is there. So I'm leaving that, and then there's a roof area to the south of that area, right there. Yes, that's the open, and then to the left of that wall comes up, which is what you see on the photos.
Okay, but right now, there's a gable that's over where that open area is.
No, sir, it's open. It's open.
Yeah.
Basically, there is like something like, I don't know if I can show it or not, but this is the side on the right side, on the upper right side of the model. That building is like maybe go 4 or 5 more foot, and that other elevation you will see that. I just cut it because that wasn't part of the project at all. Upper right, you go a little bit more, 3 or 4 more feet, is the other gable. You see that coming to the main roof on the photos.
All right, because on that page 24, it looked like there was a gable over that part where you say it's open, and it looks like you're moving the whole.
Further back. That's the gable you see is about maybe 16 feet back. So there is the roof that I show here is open roof. So you go from the right side of that lower roof that we are proposing, go about 16 foot to the right, and then that's what you see on that gable, which ties into the big one. If you go to the photos, probably. I wish I would have included an aerial, so it would be more clear.
So you can annotate, I believe you can use the annotation tool to draw and show the new and old areas of the building.
Now, where is the annotation? Okay, I guess, can you see my arrow or no?
No, we can't see yours.
Okay. Basically, look at the upper right of that model. You see the railing and you see the flat roof. You go about 3 more foot to the right, and that's where the new building, there's not new building, that's where the building is. And then that gable that you see is almost parallel to the lower gable that I have.
Okay, but to me on that page 24, it looked to me like that area had a gable over it, and you were building the whole thing toward the alley, and that's. Yeah, that one.
Yes,
So
see
now-
that, the one that you see the gable way back to the left, upper left, right
right.
there. That is between, you can see a window, you see the window,
I see that window.
and then you can see the edge of the door. Then there's a roof. Then this new addition comes into play. See, new addition, if you notice to the front gable, with one with little window on top. That's where this proposal is. So between this proposal and the other, the back, there's a roof area that is open.
Okay,
ju-
but, yeah,
can I
it
jump in
just
here?
seems to me like that area where you show that garage door and it's 2 stories high now with the gable over it, or somewhere I'm completely disoriented then.
Can I jump in here and try to explain this? Because
Yes,
maybe I can head this off.
Good.
All right. So the existing gable you're looking at in the back, Jim, stays. That upper porch stays as open.
Okay.
The lower porch now becomes enclosed with the new addition.
Correct.
Does that help?
Oh, well, maybe. See. Well, see, I'm looking at page 33, which I'm assuming is still the alley side of it.
Yeah, you don't see the existing house in the model. He didn't model it. That's why Chris is sketching where it is right now.
Yes, that's pretty much what Chris said. See that the space between the two, I guess, 2 second floors is an open roof.
Okay, because I was looking at 33. I thought that was the alley part of it with the garage door there. And that's where it seems to be up another story. And I thought that was being built over where you say that open area is.
See, the roof levels are different, like the one that actually, I don't know, whoever drew the red lines, which is pretty much what is there, to the,
So that was me. I think this is what you're getting at, right? Is that this area of deck stays that's lower, and then your existing gable in the front is here, right? And your new gable is here. Is that correct? So this is existing deck that stays, and then the existing part towards the front of Main Street is here.
right, correct. That open, that the red line that you drew is what you see on the photo. And then between that portion of the building and the crazy shaped roof, lower roof that I have, is an open roof.
Does that make sense, Jim? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I keep looking at page 33 now, which I thought was the alley part with that garage door is, and now it's
The alley part is on the bottom of this model that you just see. Clark Alley is on the bottom part of that's the side that the alley is on, the bottom. And then to the top, you go all the way, you hit the West Main.
For the sake of time, for the sake of saving time, we have 5 more cases.
Yep.
If we can do anything to make this go faster, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yep. Well, I'll yield. Apparently, I'm the one that's all screwed up in my direction.
No, not at all, not at all. I'm just trying to keep things moving, that's all.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. I have no questions. Ed Kane, do you have any questions?
Nope, I have no questions.
All right. Very good. Mr. Snyder, do you have any public testimony statements that you would like to read?
No, there is no new public testimony for this building, or I'm sorry, for this case. What I will do is just note that all written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion into the public record. Just give me a second to skim through here to get to the deliberation page. Then we can go through the deliberations. Oops, went too far. Bear with me, everyone. Thank you. Much appreciated. Okay, so let me read this statement. So this is the deliberation for 498 West Main Street, case A-060-19-20, which is case 5 of this hearing, for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation Board. During deliberations, board members review cases and take action by voting. There is no participation by applicants or the public.
Good. Thank you. So let's deliberate, talk about this, get everyone's feelings. And I guess we'll start with Dave Matthews. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, thank you, Reza, for your willingness to work with us on making the revisions from the last time you were here. I agree with what he's presented as far as the character of the building, the simplification of the roof from the last presentation makes sense. I think the brick at the alleyway makes sense to fit into the neighborhood. So I would be in support of his application.
Great. Thank you. Gerald?
I'm with Dave on this. I think it's a very well thought out proposal. I appreciate the work, Reza, that you did to respond to the questions we had at our last meeting. I think that this is going to be sympathetic to the existing structure and other structures in the neighborhood, and I am enthusiastic in supporting it.
Very good. Thank you, Gerald. Jason?
Okay, I'm gonna start with 2 comments on kind of general. I do appreciate the model, but for the sake of confusion in the future, if you're gonna model the project, model the entire building, because it has caused a lot of confusion not having the rest of that building on there. 2, 124 pages of submittal is a lot to go through, and it's very hard to find what I want to look at when I have to. There really could have been a lot of stuff whittled out of this. So back to the project. I think I like the project a lot. I think your forms, your details, and your shapes are very sympathetic to the neighborhood. They match other buildings that are around there. It looks like it was built back when that neighborhood was brand new. I think your windows, while they're oversized to the building, it's a nice proportion and a nice pattern. I think it works well. And I know we're not speaking about it. I don't think turning it into a wall of windows is going to be as nice as what you have here now. Also, the side wall with the sidewall on the property line with the 2 unprotected openings, I think that is probably going to end up going away in the future when you get into the building code aspect of this. So I want to make sure that our approval tonight is not contingent on having those 2 windows on this. Was it 2 windows? Yeah, having those 2 windows on the side, that we would approve the project with or without those 2 windows. We'll have to, if anyone wants to speak about that, I'm okay with them there or not there, but I think in the end, they probably won't be there. And those are my comments.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Jim, Mr. Devaney?
Yeah, I'm obviously very confused about this thing, so I may end up abstaining on this one.
Like Jason said, there was a lot of material, and I could totally understand how it could be confusing. I'm in support of it the way it is. I'll make it short. I'm in support of it the way it is. Ed?
I'm with you, Chris. I'm in support the way it is also.
All right, great. If anyone would like to give me a motion, please state your name prior to giving me a motion.
I'll do it. I just have to find the first page in my pile of paperwork here. Okay, I, Jason Dobbs, would like to make the motion for case number A 060-19-20, 498 West Main Street, that we approve the demolition of an existing second floor addition at the rear of this property adjacent to Clark Alley, and the reconstruction of a larger addition for use as an artist studio and an office associated with the art gallery on the first floor in this mixed-use building, as presented by the architect today, with the condition that the side windows may or may not be there in the future. It's approved either way.
Second.
A motion has been made by Jason Dobbs and seconded by Gerald Gam. I will go through all the board members and ask you if you're in favor, please say yay. Or if you disapprove, say nay. And we'll start with Mr. Kane, Ed Kane.
Yay.
Ed Kane is a yay. Christopher Coretta, I am a yay. Jim Deviney,
I'm going to abstain.
okay. Jason Dobbs,
Yay.
Jason Dobbs is a yay. Gerald Gam,
Yay.
Gerald is a yay. And David Matthews,
Yay.
David Matthews is a yay. So 5 out of the 6 board members voted yay, 1 abstained. Thank you very much, Reza.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
The next case, if I could just say, the next case, Kirsten's going to sit in with us on.
Yes. Chris, can I ask for a 5-minute recess?
Absolutely.
Okay. Just take a 5-minute recess, and we will be back to cases 6 through 10. Okay, everyone. Thank you for allowing for that recess. So we're going to go to case 6 here. The next case, this is a new case for a certificate of appropriateness. File A-001-20-21 for a certificate of appropriateness. The applicant is DeLuise Crawford, the property owner for this property. The address is 7 South Madison Park in the Susan B. Anthony Preservation District. And the purpose is to install 2 air conditioning units in the rear yard of this 2-family dwelling. All board members present visited the site.
Thank you, Chris. Is the applicant online with us?
Yes, I am. Can you
Hi,
hear?
how are you, Ms. Crawford?
I am well, thank you.
I just have to swear you in.
Okay.
Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. If you wanted to give us your presentation, that would be great. We're ready for you.
Okay, what Chris read and what is in front of me is correct. I have nothing to add to it. I am ready for questions.
Thank you for short and sweet this evening. We needed that. Much appreciated. We'll start with questions from the board members. We'll start with Ed Kane. Ed, do you have any questions?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Great, thank you. I'm next, Christopher Coretta. I have no questions. It looks pretty straightforward to me as well. Jim Deviney, any questions?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you, Jim. Jason Dobbs, any questions?
I have a long list of questions.
Okay.
No questions.
Okay. Gerald Gam, do you have any questions?
I have no questions at all. It was a really straightforward proposal and really appreciated the superb presentation.
Thank you, Gerald. Dave Matthews, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
All right. Very good. Mr. Snyder, are there is there any public testimony statements available?
Don't forget Kirsten.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Kirsten. I am so sorry. Do you have any questions? Thanks, Ed.
No questions.
Thanks, Kirsten. Again, I apologize.
And I'm just gonna mention too that Kirsten will be in place for Deborah, who is out today, and she is going to be weighing in on the 5 remaining cases for the hearing. I'm going to read the public testimony statement. So all written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion in the public record. There were no public comments that were received. So with that, we'll go into deliberations. So this is the deliberations for 7 South Madison Park, file A-001-20-21 for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation Board. During deliberations, board members review cases and take action by voting. There is no participation by applicants or the public.
Very good. Thank you. So now we'll do a round robin for comments from the board, and we'll start with Dave Matthews. I'm sorry, we're going to start with Kirsten. Kirsten, do you have any, what are your thoughts, comments?
I have no thoughts. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a backyard. There's no reason to have any issue with it.
Great, thank you. Dave Matthews.
I agree. On a night like tonight, we certainly would appreciate some air conditioning.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Gerald Gam.
I agree too. We stood in front of the house. Just a beautiful neighborhood with the park there, and there's not a better place to put the air conditioning units than behind the house.
Great, thanks, Gerald. Jason Dobbs.
I have nothing to add. It is the best place to disguise those units. I used to live directly across the park from this house and saw it every day. And it looks much nicer now than it did in the past.
Thank
you. Jim Deviney, any questions?
I'm ready to go forward with this.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions. Ed Kane?
No more questions.
No questions. Very good, thank you.
I would just ask, even though there is simplicity with this application, that the board members provide a little bit more information regarding the appropriateness of the location in the rear yard.
Could I say something? So given that we routinely approve air conditioners, what we look for in approving the air conditioner is the site that hides the air conditioner the best. And looking carefully at this house and the map, there's no space on either side of the house. We obviously wouldn't want to put it in front of the house. And so the obvious ideal place for preservation standards would be to tuck them behind the house, which is what's being proposed.
And also it's hidden by a fence. So
And also that.
Okay. Well, can I get a motion? And please state.
I'll make a motion. So it's Gerald. File number A-001-20-21 at 7 South Madison Park to install 2 air conditioning units in the rear yard of this 2-family dwelling. My motion is that this application be approved as presented.
Second.
A motion has been made by Gerald Gamm and seconded by Ed Kane. I will go through the list of board members, and if you're in favor of this application, please say yay. Excuse me, if you're in favor of the motion, please say yay. And if not, please say nay. We'll start with Ed Kane.
Yay.
Ed Kane is a yay. Christopher Coretta is a yay. Jim Deviney?
Yay.
Jim Deviney is a yay. Jason Dobbs?
Yay.
Jason Dobbs is a yay. Gerald Gamm?
Yay.
Gerald Gamm is a yay. David Matthews?
Yay.
David Matthews is a yay. And Kirsten Solberg?
Yay.
Kirsten is a yay. All 7 members voted yay, unanimous. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to go on, and with that, we'll go on to case number 7. Case 7, file A-002-20-21 for a certificate of appropriateness. This is a new application for a certificate of appropriateness. The applicant is Ira Katz with Bravo Development. The address is 48 King Street, and it's located in the Susan B. Anthony Preservation District. The purpose is to install 1 externally illuminated sign reading life storage measuring approximately 560 square feet to the north side of this self-storage facility, and to install 1 sign featuring the company logo measuring approximately 225 square feet, both to be located on the north side of the building, and to install several other smaller signs to the building. All board members present and voting on this case have visited the site. I also want to add that with this application, if approved by the Preservation Board, would also require the special process of an administrative adjustment because of the location of the sign in the Center City District. That is an additional approval required by the manager of zoning.
Okay. Thank you. Ira, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Ira. Welcome. I just need to swear you in.
Okay.
Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ira. We're ready for your presentation whenever you are.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ira Katz, and I am proud to say that we're less than 30 days away from finishing that building. And I'm sure that everybody visited it, and it's, we took a pretty beat up building, and it is beautiful right now. So I'm pretty proud of that building. And so now we move on to signage. Where, as you can see on page 4, the original sign in the building, go ahead to 4, please. There you go. The original sign, and when we first came into the Preservation Board, they, because of the design of the building and because of where it's located, they said that you can have a fairly large sign similar to that, but we felt we didn't need a sign that quite that big. Number one, it's expensive, and B, I just think it was a little big. So if you go to the next page, please. So that's the sign we're looking for. And the building's going to be managed by Life Storage. What we do is we own a building and then we hire a management company to manage it. And that is the design that their sign company came up with. At this time, quite frankly, the budget did not have the ability to put the optional sign on top on, but they want to be able to do that in the future. And so the signage that's currently going to be on the building that we request is the Life Storage sign. And then there's some signs around the building that give you the entrances and the office. And you can page down if you'd like, Chris. Keep going. And the sign, by the way, that we're looking at is 55 feet, 10 inches. It's quite a bit smaller than the original sign. And again, per your committee's requirement, it is not lit internally. It will be lit from the top of the building with extensions out with, and we have the lighting below as well. So it is, it's not internally lit with LEDs or any type of modern technology. We kept it with the way the building was somewhat built in the past. And you can continue, please. Continue one more. All right. So all the signs are that way. They're not lit. There's a mistake on there. None of them have any lighting built into them per the agreement that we made originally with the preservation board. So we have loading areas. And by the way, the building is, I'm sure you've all seen it. It looks like it was built the same type of windows, the same amount of skylights. We're pretty proud of how that building turned out. So the only signs we really have is loading, office, and parking. We do have indoor parking so that when it snows or it's raining, people can pull in, and it's wheelchair accessible as well. And so that's what we're showing you today. I'm keeping it pretty simple. I know you guys have worked late, and we really appreciate, you can see that we have one more sign that goes over the office area. So again, none of them are lit. They're all lit from externally, and we're happy to be at this stage of the building of the building. It's been a long road, and the neighbors have stopped by and wanted to hug me because the building really looks nice. I'm really proud of that building. And I thank you very much, and I'm pleased to ask me any questions you have.
Thank you, Ira. We're going to start with Kirsten. Kirsten, do you have any questions for the applicant?
My only question is, I know last time you came through here and presented signage, we had discussed the possibility of using a plaque behind the signage, kind of in keeping with the historic sign. Wondering if that was considered and why, just why you went without it.
It was considered, and actually when we went, we had a few companies that we were choosing between, and to put that board up there, it would stick out because there's sections of the building that stick out, and it would cause debris to get in there and problems, and they made a decision to, and of course the cost of that and bringing it up. And so we wanted to be somewhat modern, but keep with the old idea of a non-lighted sign. So both of the companies that we wanted to manage did not want to put that up there.
Okay. And then my last question would be I appreciate the external lighting idea, but I'm so sure you've done your homework that it's evenly balanced. And I know sometimes when things are externally lit, the shadows are so extreme that you can't actually read the sign, but assuming you've done your homework.
Yeah, actually we hired a lighting company to do the research, and they gave us how far they have to be sticking out and what angle they got to be on and how powerful. We really didn't want to light the building. Yeah. That is not what we're trying to do. And so we were very careful about that, to be honest with you, because if you're going to do it, and I think when you pass by the building, I'm not one to do shortcuts. We do it right from the very beginning. And so that was part of it, is how we initially wanted them below, but then as we were reading through it, they want them from above. And so we gave the lighting company the information, and they redid their calculations.
Okay, just wondering if a professional had looked at it and you feel confident with that.
Yes, absolutely.
Kirsten, any other questions? Kirsten, did you have any other questions?
No other questions.
Okay. We'll move on to David Matthews. David, any questions?
Yeah, only question would be, are all the smaller signs lit as well, or would it just be the big sign?
I think that they wanted to light the, somewhat light the life storage sign below, but at this point, we did not do that, and we don't have the electrical set for that.
Okay.
And so, because we'd have to light them all, and we're not doing that. Actually, there's some lights in the alley there or the street where these are, and you'll actually see it without being lit. So the only ones we're lighting, the only one we're lighting is the main across the top.
All right. Well, appreciate all your efforts and funding that goes into this. It's quite an undertaking, and
it was interesting, and but I am proud to look at that building. I got a picture of it today from my GC out there, and it made us smile.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Gerald Gam. Gerald, do you have any questions?
I do. So I just want to join everybody else in just saying how exciting it is to see the progress with this building, seeing all the new windows going in and just this building being brought back to life. My only question is also with these smaller signs, I noticed one of them, the word office, is a lowercase o, and the other letters are, I'm sorry, it's an uppercase O, is a capital O, and the other letters are lowercase. Whereas the words loading and parking are all caps.
That's an incorrect sign, by the way.
I'm sorry, what?
It's an incorrect sign. If you look at that, it's actually the one that was lit, and we told them to change it, and they forgot to change it. So the office is actually going to be exactly like the other ones.
So it's going to be all capital letters.
All capital letters.
Okay. Okay. So that was my question. Why the inconsistency? So
yeah, and you can see this one was actually designed to be lit, and I had to tell them, no, we're not lighting any of the signs.
Got it. Okay, but the word office is not going to is going to be mirrored on the others, not lit, and all caps.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Gerald. Jason Dobbs, questions?
I have no questions.
Thank you, Jason. Jim Deviney, do you have any questions for Ira?
I have no questions. I think the building looks fantastic.
Okay.
It does.
Next would be me. I have no questions, Ira, but I also agree the building looks great, and thank you so much for your efforts. Ed Kane.
No questions, and a huge improvement in the building.
Great.
Thank you.
That would end the questions portion. And Mr. Snyder, if you have any public testimony statements for us, we're all ears.
There were no public testimony comments, but I will read the statement. All written comments were due.
Chris, can I interrupt you real quick?
Yes.
We do have a person who's dialed in our waiting room, and I just want to real quick ask them to identify themselves just to make sure they're not speaking on behalf of this project. So the phone number ending in 8813, do you just mind telling me which case you're here to either present on or speak about? This is the phone number ending in 8813. Okay.
Yes, it's Barbara Wagner from Stantec Consulting. I'm waiting for case number 8. I phoned in because I'm having some connection difficulties. I'm going to try to be on the regular Zoom link, but I wanted to back up.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. I'm going to put you back on mute, and then we'll call you back up when case 8 happens. Appreciate it. All right. Sorry, everybody, for interrupting. I just want to make sure a person went without being involved.
Thank you, Anna. Just wanted to read, the public testimony statement. So all written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion in the public record. There were no public comments provided for this case. So we're going to go to the deliberations, and I will read the deliberation statement. This is the deliberation for case A002-20-21 for 48 King Street for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation Board. During deliberations, board members review cases and take action by voting. There is no participation by applicants or the public.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll go around. We'll do this alphabetically as well.
Can I make a quick comment, Chris?
Sure.
Life Storage would like the ability to not have to go back to the Preservation Board to put a logo up on top. And they just don't have the finances currently for it. So they're looking to do this in between a year and 2 years from now. But they wanted me to mention that to you if possible. Just their logo, no letters.
So you wanted to add the logo at the top of the building, just to be clear?
Yes, we put optional because they can't, it's not in their budget currently, but they wanted me to see if you can authorize that as well.
I would ask Chris Snyder and Tom Worth about the timeliness of it.
Yeah.
Could I jump in for a moment? Can you pull up page 9? Because I saw it on page 9 in the proposal we got.
There.
Right here. This one right here on the top.
Yeah, I thought that was part of the application. This is Tom Worth from the law department, so I don't think there's any confusion caused by including that in the application since it's presented in the materials.
I think that Ira's question is, what would it, if they weren't to install that signage right away, and correct me, Ira, if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
If you weren't able to install this right away, what is the longest period, or in a year could it be installed? Is that correct?
They're looking for a 2-year
window
grace period.
So I can tell you that the board can speak to you about the appropriateness of one sign without the other, but I can give you a little bit of how the process works in the zoning office. So after say that it's approved and you can get signage, permitting for signage. You can pull a permit for installing signs, but if you don't complete that project and there's another element after 1 year, because a permit does expire after 1 year if it's not completed, then you would have to get an extension on that permit. Alternatively, you could probably do it as 2 separate permits. However,
that's really what they want to do. They understand that they're going to pull a permit for the signs that we talked about. And they also understand that they will pull another permit for that sign when that day comes. They just would rather have the permission from the Preservation Board that when that happens, you've agreed to it.
So if you don't,
Chris, let me. That's something that this board, if they are so inclined, could put in the approval that the one sign can have up to 2 years to effectuate its building permit, if they're so inclined.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I appreciate that. They asked me for that. Their budget's just, they're spending a lot of money and their budget just didn't make it all the way. And so they plan to do it. And they need a little bit more time. And they already, by the way, they already have 3 locations or 4 locations in Rochester. They're a good company for Rochester.
Okay. Well, thank you. And if it's all right with everyone, if we could just move on to the deliberations and talk about all of that. So let's start with Ed King. Ed, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are I'm fine with this. You know, and as far as the sign up top there at a later date, I'm fine with that too.
Okay. I would agree with that. I'm also in favor of it the way it's proposed. And if it takes them some time to get that logo up, I'm fine with that as well. Jim Devaney?
I like this proposal and I'm inclined to give them the option of adding that second sign later.
Great. Jason Dobbs?
I think these signs are very well designed. They're placed in historical locations of past signage on this building. I seem to remember, I don't know if this is actually true, but I have this memory in my head of when this building was all green and it was Seneca paper and there was a big Native American head on that elevator penthouse. So placing a logo on that location is somewhat historically accurate to the past uses of this building. So I'm in favor of granting them, like say 2 years to add the additional logo sign up there. I think the office and loading dock signs are very simple and appropriate for wayfinding and do not distract or take anything away from the design of this building.
Gerald Gamm, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. I would point out further that the tower sign also harkens back to the original illustration that were given for the Buffalo, Rochester, and Pittsburgh, whatever. I don't know what the three cities refer to. But we can see in this image that's being shown right now that there historically was signage there. So I completely support the principle of putting a sign there if the owners choose to and to give them the 2 years. The only stipulation I would put on my vote for this proposal is that the word office be in all capital letters.
Yeah, we would definitely have to add that to the motion. Dave Matthews.
I would agree with my colleagues about the signage being appropriate and include the lighting in there. Thankfully, it's downlit instead of uplit for dark sky preservation purposes.
Okay. And Kirsten?
I have no problems with the application and I agree with what has been said for both signs and the lighting.
Great. If someone would like to give me a motion, state their name first, and please add that the word office will be all capitalized. And probably should add the information about the logo being done later.
Real quick, before we move forward with that, I would also note that the clarification, because there were some pieces of the application that had in it, so I think that those should probably be addressed in the motion. What do you think, Tom Ward, in terms of internally lit opposed to externally lit signage?
Yes, if there's things in the materials that indicate it's internally lit signs, then yeah, we should mention that in the motion that it's externally lit.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Chris. So would anyone like to give me a motion with those changes? Gerald, you haven't given me a motion all night.
Did you say me?
Yes.
I've given two, but I'll be happy to give a third. I missed you too, Chris. So I will give this motion for file number A-002-20-21. I was actually deferring because I'd already done this. For 48 King Street, to install a sign externally lit reading life storage, and a sign on the tower and other smaller signs to the building, with the stipulation that none of the signs will be internally lit, and also the stipulation that the word office will be in all capital letters to match the words loading and parking, and also the stipulation that should they decide to post the sign on the tower that they have up to 2 years to do it.
That would be the logo sign. I mean,
Yes, the logo sign on the tower, that they have up to 2 years to do it.
thank you.
I'll second.
So Gerald Gam made a motion and Dave Matthews seconded. I will go through the list of board members. If you are in favor of this motion, please say yay. Or if you oppose it, please say nay. We'll start with Ed Kane.
Yay.
Ed's a yay. Ed Kane is a yay. Christopher Coretta, I'm a yay. Jim Deviney.
Yay.
Jim Deviney is a yay. Jason Dobbs.
Yay.
Jason Dobbs is a yay. Gerald Gam.
I am a yay.
Gerald Gam is a yay. Dave Matthews.
Yay.
Dave Matthews is a yay. And Kirsten Solberg.
Yay.
Kirsten Solberg is a yay. So that would be all 7 members are a yay, and it was unanimous. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful night and be safe.
Thanks.
You too.
Okay. So moving along to case 8, file number A-003-20-21 for a certificate of appropriateness. This is a new application for a certificate of appropriateness. The applicant is Michael Hershelman of the city of Rochester. The address is 232 Mill Street, the Holly Pumping Station, which is located in the Browns Race Preservation District. And the application is to decommission an existing underground diesel fuel tank and install an above ground tank of a smaller size, and to install a landscaping buffer at the inside wall of fencing along the Mill Street side of the site. Also, all board members present have visited the site. And I'm just going to skim to this page and then we can get started.
Is Michael with us? Is Michael with us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, great. There you are. Michael, I just have to swear you in. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Great.
I also have Barbara Wagner on the line and Patty Bedard with us as well. I'm a senior engineer with the City of Rochester Water Bureau, and I just want to thank you for your time and opportunity to present this to you tonight.
Michael, sorry to interrupt, but we also have to swear them in, anyone who's going to give any testimony. So it was,
sure thing.
It was Barbara and I'm sorry.
Patty, Patricia Bedard.
Barbara and Patty. Barbara and Patty, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
This is Barbara. I do.
This is Patty. I do.
Thank you very much. Michael, if you please, we're ready for your presentation.
All right, thank you. So as kind of depicted in the application, our project involves replacing an existing 4,000 gallon UST, an underground storage tank that is behind our pump station off of Browns Race with an above ground 2,500 gallon storage tank. The pump station was built in the late 70s. The first tank that was installed failed back in the 80s and was replaced in 1987. This tank has been installed since then and is far beyond its useful life of 20 to 30 years. And so that, along with new regulations from New York State that the City of Rochester has adopted back in 2007, 2018, requires intense continual monitoring and tightness testing of the tank, and the current tank as it stands does not allow for us to do that. So that's just kind of a quick overview, and I'm going to hand it over to Patty, who's going to give you a brief history of the pump station and the Holly fire system that serves the central district of the City of Rochester.
Thank you all for taking our case tonight. We appreciate it. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the historical significance of this Holly pump station for some of you who may not know it. This actually predates our domestic drinking water system, started in 1874, and it was, if you think about it, it was for some of the wealthy business owners of the time to protect their buildings because what happened in 1871 in the Great Chicago Fire. So they got together and they started this system, and it is still in existence today. It originally came from the Genesee River. And we all know that our domestic system came from Hemlock. Back in the 1940s, the two systems got intermingled, and some of the not so potable drinking water, not so potable water from the Genesee River got into the domestic supply and caused a lot of cases of illness. So now it's completely separate. It's about 22 miles long, and you'll see it around you today downtown. It's got the little white fire hydrants. So we appreciate you taking the time to review this case, because what is that, 146 years, and we want to keep it going for another few more years. It's a great system. One of probably the only two left in the country that's a separate high pressure fire system. So thank you.
Thank you, Patty. And why this tank is critical to our operation of our pump station. The pressure in our Holly pump station is about 110 PSI. So it's about double what you'd normally get, and some might be triple depending on where you live in the city, of what you'd get for your domestic pressure. The station has 3 electric pumps, one runs continuously with a second backup to maintain that pressure in the system. We have a third electric pump that turns on if we have a fire. And then we have 3 diesel engine fire pumps that were actually just retrofitted a couple of years ago. They were original to the 1979 installation date and kickoff of the building, that we just replaced the engines on them. So the pumps are original to the system. And what happens is if we lose power, if we lose electric, we have our diesel to run in its case. We also have the diesel engines to run for our more 5-alarm fires where the pressure gets very low in the system, and we need a lot of force to keep up and keep moving the flow to protect the city. And so the tank being beyond its useful life is a concern for us. We want to be environmental stewards. We want to get the tank above ground to be in compliance with the new codes and to maintain monitoring of that so we don't have any potential spills, or if we do, we can be quick to act other than it just being underground. Part of the project will involve screening in accordance with the zoning for the district. It's a type of juniper. Sorry, I'm not good with plants. I'm a mechanical civil guy. Reminds me of an arborvitae, but a little bit nicer, I think. And it'll be stationed between the existing fence that is off of the sidewalk. And thank you, Chris. There's a nice drawing of it. Yeah, Juniperus Taylor. One more. Oh, actually that's a good one right there. So, Barbara, do you have anything to add that I may be missing? Okay. One tidbit I just want to throw out is the reason it's called Holly is it's named after Birdsill Holly, who was from Auburn, New York, and did a lot of his work in Seneca Falls and then up in Lockport. And he was the one who came up with the type of rotary pump for the system back in the 1850s and 1860s, and then actually patented one of the first hydrants, I believe in 1869. So he was a mechanical engineer way above his time, and was part of the historical relevance to this type of system that we have today.
Well, great. Thank you for the presentation. We'll open it up to questions from the board members. We'll start with Kirsten Solberg. Do you have any questions?
Kirsten. Well, yeah, thank you for the presentation. I almost wish that this information could be on a plaque somewhere outside the building so that they know it's more than just, kind of a little bit of an ugly building, but, the context is very interesting. My only question is about the fence that's out there. I don't think the drawings make it completely clear. I understand that it's going to be removed. What's going to be put back in its place? Is it the same fence?
So the fence will be removed by our crews. That's the proposed plan. It'll be taken to their shop, which is located at Hemlock Lake. We're going to sandblast it, clean it up, repaint it, and then reinstall it. So during the process, during the construction, there will be temporary fencing for site security and protection, but the same fencing will be put back in place.
Understood. That's the only question I have.
Thanks, Kirsten. Dave Matthews, do you have any questions?
I did not have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Gerald Gam, do you have any questions?
I have no questions at all. That was a very clear presentation, and the written application was also quite clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Dobbs, any questions?
No questions.
Jim Deviney, any questions?
No, but I appreciate the presentation as an historian. I found that all quite fascinating. So, but I have no questions.
Thank you, Jim. I have no questions. Ed Kane? Ed?
I have no questions either.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. Chris, do you have any public testimony statements?
There was no public testimony for this case, but I do want to mention again, all written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion into the public record, but there are none for this case. So we will start the deliberations. This is the deliberation for 232 Mill Street, the Holly Pumping Station, case A-003-20-21 for the July 8th, 2020 hearing of the Rochester Preservation. During deliberations, board members review cases and take action by voting. There is no participation by applicants or the public.
Very good. All right, so let's open it up to the board. We'll discuss. I'd like to hear comments and deliberate. Kirsten, what are your thoughts? Kirsten, can you hear me?
I think that the application's appropriate. Understood why they have to bring the tank above ground. There's no real back of house to this site, so they're almost creating a back of house with the line of plantings and the fence. And I actually think that the greenery is going to add to the neighborhood and to the block.
Great, thank you. Dave Matthews, what are your thoughts on this case?
Well, in looking at this as a replacement tank and it works to preserve Rochester from fires, it's actually a very appropriate preservation measure for the whole city. I think that the plantings act as a nice screening, which traditionally any equipment that's in that we've reviewed before gets some kind of screening element along with the fence. So I think that's all appropriate, and the rest of the proposal looks good. So I'm in favor.
Okay, great. Gerald?
I have exactly the same reaction. I have exactly the same reaction as Chris.
If everyone could mute themselves if they're not speaking, we get a lot of feedback there. Thanks.
Thanks. So I have the exact same, I have the same judgment as Dave and as Kirsten. I think this is a great proposal. I initially didn't understand how you could possibly improve the site by bringing the tank above ground, but I actually think they're doing that by putting the visual screening there. Right now you walk down the sidewalk and you're just seeing blacktop in the back of a building. I think having the plantings there, as Kirsten and Dave have pointed out, is actually going to improve the site and make this even a better neighbor for the other structures in the street.
Okay, thank you, Gerald. Jason Dobbs.
As a industrial type utility building, having an above ground tank is perfectly reasonable and appropriate for the use of this location. And I think the screening used has been used in other historic properties for the same purpose and is appropriate for this site as well.
Thank you, Jason. Jim Deviney?
I'm ready to support this proposal.
Great. Next would be me. I also would support this proposal as is. I think it's a great presentation, very well done. Ed Kane?
And I too support the proposal as is.
Great. Gerald, should I call on you for another motion? Just kidding.
Well, I would appreciate that because I haven't gotten to make any motions at all tonight, so thank you. I'm going to make a motion for file number A-003-20-21 at 232 Mill Street, the Holly Pumping Station. The proposal is to decommission an existing underground diesel fuel tank, install an above ground tank of a similar size, and to install a landscaping buffer at the inside wall of fencing along the Mill Street side of the site. I propose that we accept the application as made to us this evening.
Second.
Thanks, Ed. Gerald Gamm made the motion. Ed Kane seconded. I will go through the list of board members. If you are in favor of this motion, please say yay. If not, please say nay. Start with Ed Kane.
Yay.
Ed Kane is a yay. Christopher Coretta would be me. I am a yay. Mr. Davini?
Yay.
Jim Davini is a yay. Jason Dobbs?
Yay.
Jason Dobbs is a yay. Gerald Gamm?
Is a yay.
Gerald Gamm is a yay. Dave Matthews?
Yay.
Dave Matthews is a yay. And Kirsten Solberg?
Yay.
Kirsten Solberg is a yay. So all 7 board members are a yay. It's unanimous, and thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, and have a good night, everyone.
Well, appreciate it.
Okay, so let me skim down to the next case here. Just give me 1 second to do that and get everything in order, and we can move to the next item. Okay. So the next item on our agenda is case 9, file A-004-20-21, a new application for a certificate of appropriateness for 729 to 733 Park Avenue. This is located in the East Avenue Preservation District, and the purpose is to install a light fixture at the exterior vestibule of this proposed retail establishment, Pittsford Dairy Farms. All board members present have visited the site.
Great. And do we have the applicant on with us?
Charles, are you there? I think I
You're
saw
here.
you.
Hello, we are here.
Hey.
Hi, guys. So Charles, will anyone else be giving testimony tonight?
Nope, just me.
Okay, great. So I have to swear you in, Charles. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And we are ready for your presentation.
Okay, so I think we visited last, or was it already 2 months ago? I think it was when we had applied for our other items for our Park Avenue location. And the last item that we have is a light that we're going to install that you see there in the picture. It's a, not a replica, but an actual milk strainer. It's been converted to a light that's going to hang in the vestibule above the entranceway. And I have it here, so I think we showed it last time, but it's just a galvanized dome that looks like this. There's the strainer portion you can see. Pretty cool. And this is going to have an incandescent, probably 100-watt bulb, soft light inside.
All right. Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah. The only other thing is it'll have a black wire that will connect to the ceiling, which is about 11 feet high, I think. So it might be on about a oh, I think it's gonna be 92 inches off the ground. I think the cable is about 28 inches, I believe. Something of that similar. And that's it.
All right, great. We'll open it up to questions to board members. We'll start with Kirsten. Kirsten, do you have any questions?
No questions at all.
Thank you. Dave Matthews, do you have any questions?
Just to verify, the bottom of the light fixture will be above the top of the door?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, that's my only question. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Gerald Gam, any questions?
No questions.
No questions. Jason Dobbs, any questions?
No questions.
And Jim Deviney?
No questions.
I have no questions. I think it's a very cool light, but we'll get into that. Ed Kane?
Seems pretty straightforward, no questions.
Great. Okay. Chris Snyder, any public testimony statements?
No public testimony provided for this case. Again, I'll just read the general statement that all written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion in the public record. We'll move to the deliberations for this project, the address being 729 to 733 Park Avenue, case number A-004-20-21 for July 8th. And during the deliberations, only the board members review the cases and take action by voting, but no one in the public, including applicants, can participate.
Okay. We will now deliberate, talk about this. Let's start with Ed. Ed, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are it's fine.
Great. I feel the same way. I think it's really cool. It's very appropriate. Jim Deviney?
I agree with you. It's very appropriate, and I like the idea.
Thanks, Jim. Jason Dobbs?
I think it's very cool. It's a clever use of a historic artifact that kind of expresses the function of the building. So I would completely support it.
Gerald Gam?
Yeah, I was actually, building on what Jason just said. I was thinking the same thing, that you travel back to the 18th or 19th century and businesses and commercial districts would identify what they were by what they hang outside. And I really like that aspect of it. I think this is going to make people smile and obviously make people recognize this is a dairy as they approach the building. So I think it's quite appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Dave Matthews?
And just building on that, I think the location, the fact that it's centered in the vestibule and hanging above the doorway is appropriate to the historic nature of what may have been there at one time. So I'm in agreement.
Thank you, sir. And Kirsten Solberg?
Agree with everything. I think it's appropriately branded and I appreciate the warm lighting too.
So Kirsten, normally Gerald would make a motion here, but would you?
Got it. I'd like to put forth a motion for file number A-004-202-21 to approve the proposal as presented.
Second.
Sorry, who seconded that? Jason? Is that Jason? Okay, so Kirsten Solberg made the motion, Jason Dobbs seconded. I'll go through our list of board members. If you are in agreement with the motion, please say yay. If you oppose it, please say nay. Ed Kane?
Yay.
Ed Kane is a yay. Christopher Coretta is me. I am a yay. Jim Deviney?
Yay.
Jim Deviney is a yay. Jason Dobbs?
Yay.
Jason Dobbs is a yay. Gerald Gam?
I am a yay.
Gerald Gam is a yay. Dave Matthews?
Yay.
Dave Matthews is a yay. Kirsten Solberg?
Yay.
Kirsten Solberg is a yay. That would be all 7 members are yay. It's a unanimous decision. Thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it too. You guys can go home now.
No, we have one more.
One more. Uh-oh, I thought we were
Yeah.
last.
Okay, so thank you very much. We're going to move on to the last case now. That's case 10, file A-005-20-21, a new case for a certificate of appropriateness. The applicant is Ray Ellen Cavey, who is the property owner at 1475 East Avenue, located in the East Avenue Preservation District. The purpose is to install a line of arborvitae trees along the west side of the property to screen a patio adjacent to Suite 1 of this condominium complex. All board members present have visited the site for this item.
Great. Thank you. And do we have the applicants on with us? Would it be Ray Ellen? Is Ray Ellen with us?
Yeah, it looks like, oh, here she is.
I'm here. I was just struggling to unmute.
No problem. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I just need to swear you in. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And we're ready for your presentation.
So this is a straightforward application for approval of the creation of a privacy screen of trees for a small patio on the east side of the Tudors at 1475 East Avenue. I have nothing to add that isn't in the application. So if there are questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll start with Ed Kane. Ed, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, I think this one's pretty straightforward too.
Great. I would be next. I feel the same way. It's very straightforward. I have no questions. Jim Deviney?
I have no questions. I think what's being proposed is much better than the clutter that seems to be there now, and I think it's a great improvement.
Great. Jason Dobbs, any questions?
I wonder if you can get a group discount on arborvitaes with the other two cases that were here tonight. Maybe you should look into that. I have no questions.
Gerald Gamm, any questions?
I have no questions either. This is a really straightforward proposal.
David Matthews, any questions?
No questions. It makes sense, and I think it would be a good use to screen the patio and improve the conditions of the exterior space.
Thank you. Kirsten Solberg, any questions?
No questions.
Great. Thank you. Any public testimony? Chris Snyder?
No public testimony for this case. As with the others, all written comments were due yesterday, July 7th at 5 p.m. for inclusion in the public record. And I guess we'll just move on to the deliberations for this case. 1475 East Avenue, A005-2021. During deliberations, board members review cases and take action by voting, but nobody from the public or including applicants are allowed to participate.
Okay. I guess we will deliberate. We can start with Kirsten Solberg. What are your thoughts on this case?
I think the application is completely appropriate. It's the back of the house. The type of plantings seem appropriate and in keeping with the character of the neighborhood and the landscape. And I think the number is correct. It looks appropriate for the site. And that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Dave Matthews, what are your thoughts?
I would agree with Kirsten on the appropriateness of the plantings and screening. Like I said, it would be an improvement to the exterior space.
Thanks, Dave. Gerald Gamm?
I agree also with Dave and Kirsten. Putting the plants along the border with 1501 East Avenue seems to me exactly the right way to treat the border, to define the space between the two properties and also to shield the patio and give some privacy to the patio. So I think it's completely appropriate and well laid out for us.
Great, thank you. Jason Dobbs.
approving this tonight would be consistent with our previous decisions of using this planting material in a historic district as a screening device.
Thank you, Mr. Dobbs. Mr. Davini, Jim Davini.
I'm ready to move forward on it. I think it's a very nice proposal.
Thank you. I also support the proposal the way it sits. Ed Kane.
And I too support the proposal as it sits.
Wonderful. Anyone other than Gerald like to give me a motion?
Make Gerald do it.
Okay, Gerald, please give me a motion. You haven't given me one all night.
Okay, for the record, I had actually already put it away, but I can do this. This is for file number A-005-20-21 at 1475 East Avenue to install a line of arborvitae trees along the west side of the property to screen the patio adjacent to Suite 1 of the condominium complex, that we approve the application as submitted.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Second.
Jason.
Jason, thank you. Gerald Gam made the motion. Jason Dobbs seconded it. I will go through the list of board members. If you are in favor of this motion, please say yay. If you are not, please say nay. Start with Ed Kane.
Yay.
Ed Kane is a yay. Christopher Coretta would be me. I am a yay. James Davini.
Yay.
Jim Davini is a yay. Jason Dobbs.
Yay.
Jason Dobbs is a yay. Gerald Gam.
Yes.
Gerald is a yay. Dave Matthews.
Yay.
Dave Matthews is a yay. And Kirsten Solberg.
Yay.
Kirsten is a yay. That would be all 7 members are yay. It's unanimous. Thank you very much for the presentation. And thank you everyone for your patience for our many cases tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm just going to read a closing statement here. This concludes the Rochester Preservation Board public hearing. We thank all applicants and citizens. The next scheduled hearing will be on August 5th, 2020. This hearing is scheduled to be a virtual meeting and will be streamed live to the Mayor's Office YouTube page. Any changes to the virtual hearing process for public boards and commissions will be posted to the city's webpage. If you have any comments or questions related to the Rochester Preservation Board or this hearing, please email staff at preservationboard@cityofrochester.gov. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
So long.